What's going on? What's going on, film fam? Welcome to another episode of Let the Film Speak. I am one of your hosts, Chop. Here, my main man, Willie Jack. Willie Jack, how you doing
Yes,
today,
sir.
dog?
Hey, hey, feeling good, feeling great, man. You know what's going on, man. It's Wednesday. I'm ready to talk ball, man. I can't ask for nothing else.
Hey, for sure, for sure. Hey, man, Willie Jack, and we're a little bit closer to the season starting, man. Training camps have started, man. They
Yes,
started
sir.
yesterday. They had a few more start today. Last week, the Jets was a team that was at full go in terms of training camp, man. Hey, so Willie Jack, we only around the corner, man. We're around the corner from the start of the season, man. So I'm
Yeah,
excited. I'm excited just like you, and I'm ready to see some football, man.
for sure, for sure. Hey, that time's getting closer and closer, bro. I can't wait for it.
For sure, for sure. Now today's topic, man, we're gonna talk about two more position groups. Of course, last week we did we did three position groups. We did centers, guards, and tackles. This week we're gonna do a little bit of offense, a little bit of defense, man. We got the tight ends coming up, and we also got off-ball linebackers, man. We did edge rushers. I know some of those are considered linebackers, but we just tried to divide it up, man, into the positions that they actually play. So we're gonna do off-ball linebackers today, as well as the tight ends, man. Two positions that face some of the most adversity in the game. As a linebacker, I might be taking on a guard, a center, trying to get to a run play, or I might have to check a slot receiver out of the coming out of the slot, man. So there's a lot of different things that come into that position, and tight end, you gotta be swivel as well, man. So we're gonna definitely jump into those. But before we do that, we gotta jump into the house rules, man. The house rules first and foremost. I can't even talk with the Jack. That's like, that's share, that's subscribe, man. Become the newest member of the film fam, man. Tap in with your boys, talk to us. We talk back. Like I said, become the newest member of the film fam.
For sure.
Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell. How else are you going to know when me and my dog Willie Jack got something cooking in the house, when we got something going on, when we gonna have an event? You got to know what's going on. So in order to know what's going on, you got to hit that notification bell, and I guarantee you we would not let you down. Willie Jack, let's jump into the news, man. We had a little bit of news going on for the
Mm-hmm.
last week, man. First and foremost, we've been talking about running backs, so let's go ahead and jump on this running back situation, man, and get this on out of the way for the first bit of news today, man. Saquon Barkley, man, after all the hoop and hollering in terms of is he gonna get signed? Is he gonna sign the tag after he didn't get a deal? Was he gonna sit out? He ends up signing a 1-year deal worth up to $11 million.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get over a little bit over 10 million guaranteed. The other 900,000 comes with incentives. Willie Jack, what's your take on this one, man?
Honestly, man, and I want to use the right wording for this, but no, forget that. I can't lie. I felt a little disappointed, man. I felt a little disappointed. I almost feel like he almost kind of caved in a little bit because the tag that he didn't sign, I guess, is a 10 million and change dollar tag, right? And so he ends up signing this deal, not a franchise tag, but a deal that lines up with that pricing. And then there's an additional $1 million worth of incentives that should be, I guess, reachable, assuming he matches the production he had last year. That takes the total value of the contract up to $11 million. But honestly, man, I feel like he crossed the picket line. Like if running backs were trying to strike, you know what I'm saying? It feels like Saquon crossed the line a little early. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you still had a little leverage now. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he caved a little soon, in my opinion, man. Especially if this is going to be the deal he took. If this is the deal you're going to take, bro, sign a franchise tag. Because now he signed this 1-year deal. It's not a franchise deal agreement. He could still be franchised next year when he comes back to the table. And then now, if they franchise him next year, then he's still stuck for an additional 2 years because then they can still hold over him even that second year. And so if he signs the franchise for the money that he ended up agreeing with, that's the point of it. For the money he signed for. Well, then if it's a franchise year, this franchise tag signing, then next year if they franchise you again, then you get that automatic pay bump for the franchise. So we've seen it with, I think, Kirk Cousins when let's say the franchise tag was going to be 25 million 1 year. Then that second year, it jumps to 40 million because he was franchised the year before. So it even got an additional bump. And I'm just using numbers as an example. And so that's why I'm trying to figure out just what was, I guess the benefit of having, I'm assuming a lot of that money in the way it's done now is going to be upfront, or you may have to help me out on the details of that figure, but I assume maybe he gets a larger portion of it up front in the form of a signing bonus, so he gets a lot of that money right now.
So he gets $2 million in the signing bonus. 10, like I said, I think it's 10.1 is fully guaranteed. The rest, like I said, I think he has to get like
1,350 yards.
Touchdowns.
Yeah,
and I believe they have to make the playoffs or something like that too.
No,
so,
I think I saw 1,350 in rushing yards. I did see the 11 touchdowns. I think it was like 60 catches or 60 receptions or
60
something like that. And so I think that's going to mimic, like I said, what he did last year. But okay, so now if it's only $2 million up front in the form of the signing bonus, I mean, then still I'm still trying to figure out like how he from the position and from the stance that he had put out there. You know what I'm saying? And so based on where he was going and the rhetoric that he was putting out, I thought he was going to take a bit of a firmer stand. And so, like I said, man, I don't necessarily see, I guess, I don't see, I guess, the rationale for going the way he went. And especially, like I said, training camp hasn't started yet. And so I get it. Maybe he doesn't want to hold out. He doesn't want to be one of those guys, etc. He's a loyal guy, etc. I would assume, but I still, man, I feel like he caved a little soon. Like I said, man, put your foot down. Even if you tell me that this 10 million plus $1 million in incentives, even if you tell me, man, I held out and that 10 is 13 now. Well, okay, you know what I mean? Like I just would feel better about it. I don't know, like with him signing for a contract at the equivalent of the franchise, I don't know how that helps the greater good of the plight of running backs, guys like Josh Jacobs and et cetera, that he had been kind of the beacon or rallying figure for. So I was a little disappointed, honestly.
Absolutely, Willie Jack, and I agree that the Giants did win this deal. They won. Saquon is going to be there. You know what I'm saying? The best player on that team, offense or defense, whatever way you want to look at it. But for me, Willie Jack, it was more so I felt like that was his best option at that point. You know what I'm saying? I think he held out as long as possible to see if they can actually get a deal done, in hopes that they can actually get a deal done. And they didn't get the deal that he actually wanted. So with that being said, he had to weigh his options. Do I want to sit home and not get paid anything, or do I want to go ahead and sign this deal and get a chance to play football, be alongside my teammates and stuff like that, and get this 10 million, you know what I'm saying? This 10 million guaranteed. And that's what he decided to do. And I don't necessarily knock him for it. Yeah, I know he wanted more. I think he took the you take an L in this situation, but at the same time, it's like he's still gonna get paid. Injured or not, he's gonna get that 10 million guaranteed. And when it boiled down, it was like either I'm gonna get this 10 million or I get nothing.
I'm sorry to cut you off, because I agree. I do dig what you're saying, but if he was gonna like make all this big fuss, he started this whole running back like conference and committee and all these things we were hearing about running backs trying to band together and find a way to better themselves as a position group going forward, then bro, you can't do all that. We can't even call a holdout because camp hadn't even started. So I know you said like he held out as long as he could, but my point is he didn't. They gonna see him in the building on Thursday morning.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so and this is, you know what I'm saying, training camp, and so then we've got training camp. We've got 3 preseason weeks. We got a Hall of Fame week. There's still 2 months until the season starts. And so he didn't apply any pressure. He didn't use any of his leverage being his body. Am I in that building or not? That's his leverage. So he didn't even exercise that leverage of me not being there. You know what? I want to see them go through 3 weeks of OTAs without me there. How's that offense look, Brian Daboll? How that offense look without me out there, bro? You know what I'm saying? How's the $40 million man Daniel Jones look? You know what I'm saying? When I'm not behind him, when I'm not 6 yards behind him in the eye. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the leverage. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't even have it. He didn't even give them the opportunity to see what life is like on the other side. And then he did all this singing and dancing and came right back around to the same $10 million. You know what I'm saying? It's just like when they say a rose by any other name. He got $10 million contract instead of $10 million, a 1 year $10 million contract instead of a 1 year $10 million franchise deal. So it's like, all right, I got them and they ain't franchised. Bro, you took the same bread. You know what I'm saying? I really feel like, man, and I hate, because I want the players to win. I want the players to get paid. But man, I can't help feeling like Saquon caved, bro. He caved.
Yeah, no. I mean, when you're looking at the grand scheme of things, but it's easier said than done to sit there.
Oh yeah,
And
no.
say,
Hey, bills is due. I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
you.
Bills is due. You got a life. You got expenses that have accumulated. Like it's easier said than done. Like I'm a firm believer in you can still want your money, but still come to work as well. Like
No, that's a very good point.
I know a bunch of people that I know personally that go to work every day that feel like they worth more than what they actually do.
That's for sure.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So it's more of that. It's like, dang, man, I want my bread, and I'm gonna make it be known that I want my bread, but at the same time, I'm still a loyal cat. I'm gonna come and I'm gonna play because I got these other people also counting on me. I got my brothers that I'm, what I'm saying, that's alongside of me. Imagine, Willie Jack, imagine me, you, Dave, Willie, Tom, Coop, all of us, and I'm like, man, forget this, dog. Man, he ain't up my scholarship a little bit, so now I'm out. So now y'all like, dang, we want you. You know what I'm saying? You our cat, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they're gonna support him, but would they rather have me on the field? Would y'all rather have me on the field with y'all? Yeah, so it's a lot that goes into it. And then also, here's the other thing too. I mean, this year he still will be the third highest paid running back in the league, which is not saying much. Don't get me wrong. It's not saying much. That was the whole thing anyway about how running backs are getting paid. But I mean, something else to kind of think about as well.
I mean, well, no, I dig what you're saying, but all those things that you say, that's the typical leverage that the ownership uses against players. Oh man, you got to be loyal to the fans. Oh man, you got to be loyal to your teammates. Oh man, you got to, these guys are like, that's exactly the leverage that the ownership uses against players to ostracize them or turn the fan base against them or try to turn the locker room against them. I've seen that happen with Le'Veon Bell. The locker room turned on Le'Veon. It really did because of that. Like guys really felt like, hold on, dog. Like, man, hey, we in a window, man. We need you here. And so it went from supporting him wanting to get paid to then guys got to feeling that way. Now I think some of that is going to have to be behind the scenes, like the guys there in that locker room, his conversations with them, you know what I mean, and things of that nature. But my point would be, if this was what he was gonna settle for, he should have just signed his franchise deal a month ago. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. Like, okay, so what was this month for then? Because I'm trying to find, like, this couldn't have been his end game. And then if this isn't his end game, he didn't even get away from that start line that the Giants settled. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just fussed about not eating his asparagus, his green beans, his Brussels sprouts. He whined, he cried, he danced around the table, and then he sat down and he ate them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what happened. Like, you didn't make any progress. You made a little noise, and then you sat right back down, and you know what I'm saying, and ate what they gave you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's, and there's another thing as well. And especially like a guy like Saquon, and guys around the league know what's going on with these running backs as well. So I have to believe that his teammates, and I'm not even saying going into the season, because going into the season is a whole nother ball game. I'm talking about OTAs. Maybe a little bit of preseason. He's not going to play. He's going to have 5 carries in preseason total. Maybe. So he's got 2 months of leverage that he just threw out the window to just circle back and just get in line like a toy soldier. You know what I'm saying? That's the part about it, man. Like, not for that number. 12 million. Just anything. Get just anything over the line. He came back to that. Now, I guess he's got the extra $1 million in incentives, which honestly, it feels like a slap in the face. That really feels like they placated him. Like, all right, Saquon, I tell you what, do what you do last year, and here's another $900K. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I can't get on. I just can't find the good I can't find the win in this in any way for Saquon, man.
Okay, I got you. And like I said, it's not a win, and that's why I made it my point too earlier to say it was.
Oh no, you did say that. My fault. Yeah,
it was a win for the Giants for sure. You know, what I'm saying definitely win for the Giants. But hey, guys, got to pay their bills. Go ahead.
But wait, before you move on, I also want to say this as well. In hindsight, Chop, if you came to me and was like, "Hey, Willie Jack, man, hey, they playing with your boy." As much as I want to line up with you for sure, but you already know I'm riding, dog. Hey, like, man, what you need me to do? You know what I'm saying? They playing with you, they playing with me. You know what I'm saying? So like, but that's how a locker room works. That's why it's hard for me to believe that guys in that locker room wouldn't be behind Saquon, especially he's a guy that we see him putting into work. We know he's working. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would have to imagine guys in that locker room know he's the real deal. And so if you see a guy busting hump, a leader on that team, a leader in the locker room, a spark for that offense. One of the, you know what I'm saying? Like I'd have a hard time imagining, man, that players wouldn't give him a little grace and understand what he's trying to do. Especially a guy like teammate of his, Andrew Thomas, cashed out. You know what I mean? Especially another teammate of his, Danny Dimes. You know what I'm saying? Cashed out. You know what I'm saying? So these guys, because going through their own negotiations and everything before it turned out for the good for them, it's still a stressful situation. So they have to understand how he's feeling right now before you get that deal, and they know what it feels like and what it takes before you get there. So, man, I'd be hard pressed to imagine, man, that the team, that those guys would have turned on him as quickly as maybe letting this thing bleed out into the preseason.
Absolutely, I got you. And I think some guys did come out and say they did support him. They understand. They do, so they did support him for sure. But
yeah, hey, we got some comments, man.
Pull it up, man.
Hey, look what's going on, man. Shout out to our dog. No votes with the podcast, man. Shout out my dog, Brother Red, man. He's in this thing. He says, hold on. Can you read that for me, bro?
Okay. He says the contract protects the Giants. Saquon signs franchise tag, and he could have gotten the $10 million guaranteed. He would sit himself down to protect himself versus having to play down the stretch for the playoff run. And I think he's kind of talking about something similar to what Lamar Jackson did when Lamar Jackson came and played, and then towards the end of the season was like, all right, I ain't about to keep risking this, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna chill on now. I know I'm probably healthy, but I'm gonna go ahead and chill on now.
Hold on, now we gotta stop that narrative, Chop. We cannot promote that narrative. Lamar Jackson was injured. I don't think he sat out. I don't think he bailed the squeeze or apply pressure.
Hey, Willie Jack, I ain't about to sit here. Willie Jack, I ain't about to sit out here and sit up here and play like that, man. Jalen Ramsey back was hurting until he got traded to the Rams.
Hey,
the boy had a back spasm until he played with the Rams. The boy was at practice the first day. Man, stop playing, man.
Oh, he lined up across from Julio 2 days later. So that was a different situation, though.
Y'all know how it go, man. Come on, Willie Jack, don't play, bro. Don't play.
Nah, that was a different one, man. And I'm sorry, bro. I need you to read these comments. For some reason, bro, I'm not able to see.
It's all good. Yeah. My dog, Brother Red, came in. And also, shout out to my brother-in-law, Tate, in the building. My boy, T.
Hey, what's going on?
But current contract, man, Saquon has to play to get $900,000, almost $1 million in incentives. And G-Men got to make the playoffs for him to get that $1 million. Anybody picking the Giants to make the playoffs? Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now. You know what? I'll go ahead and say it right now.
You better not, Chuck. Hey, you better not. Don't even do it. Don't even jump out the window, bro. Don't even do it.
I already said it, man. I already said that the Giants were making the playoffs when we did our overs and unders, man. I said the Giants were making the playoffs.
Oh, okay. Oh, you know what? Now remember, I had to miss. I think I had to. That was one of the ones I think I had to miss when I had that emergency, man, with the flu.
Yeah.
Okay,
so on the overs and unders, I already said it. I already got the Giants missing the playoffs, man.
Oh, okay. He had one. He had another one. He had one more too. I put it up on the screen for y'all. Know it's not letting me read it once I put it on the screen.
You good. And he said Giants was doing the same thing to Eli, but eventually paid him. Giants going to part ways with him after this year. Now that I'm not 100%. I'm gonna tell you this is what I honestly think, Willie Jack, and maybe I'm being
optimistic,
naive in regards to the situation. Now, first and foremost, this is very crucial for Saquon to stay healthy this year. That's going to be crucial. If he does, of course, I mean, he's the best in the business, so you know he's going to produce. But if he does stay healthy, I think they're going to cash him out, man. I think they're going to cash him out the next year. I think so. That's my like I said, maybe I'm being naive about the situation and assuming this, but I think they're going to pay him, man.
I don't know, man. The only reason I would say about that is because he's a year older next year. And running back years are dog years. You know what I'm saying? So 1 year for a quarterback is 3 years for a running back. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what would change for them going forward next year. Now here's another thing as well. They definitely prioritize Danny Dimes. He's the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So, and they make sure they got him straight.
That was a mistake, but go ahead.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, man. I think, I don't know who represented Saquon in his negotiation, but he should have called Danny Dimes guy. I tell you right now, when Danny got them 40 M's, I'd have fired my agent right then, and I'd have called Danny and hey man, I need the contact, bro. Like, yeah. But
apparently though, through negotiations, Saquon did change agencies.
Oh, word.
Now, I don't know who he changed to. I don't know if he changed to Danny Dimes Peoples, but he did change agencies.
That's very interesting.
Negotiation period.
That's very interesting. And you know what? sound like he made a bad decision. If this is what they got you, Saquon, $900,000 in incentive pay, bro.
Well,
Not
he was
even a
trying.
full meal.
Yeah,
They
he was
got
trying,
you
but
$900 in incentive pay, bro. You should have called LeBron.
he should have hit Lamar up. He should have hit Lamar because
He
Lamar
should have hit
represented himself.
Lamar's guy, Danny
No,
Dimes
no,
guy.
Lamar ain't got no guy. Lamar was himself. He should have had
Hey, he could have called Lamar mama. You know what I'm saying? You know it's Lamar's mama. They doing their thing. He could have called Lamar's mama, Danny's guy. He could have called LeBron for Clutch Sports Management. You know what I'm saying? He do basketball. But man, I'd have brought him over. Whoever you got that only got you $900K in incentive pay, bro. Not even the full meal. Like I said, I don't like what they did there. And then hold on, man. You said brother-in-law was in the building, man. He had one as well, man. Go ahead and see what brother-in-law talk about.
Yeah, brother-in-law. He said in reality, he said Saquon didn't have any leverage because if they would have started to lose games because of his absence, who cares? Because they aren't a real contender anyway.
Well, okay. I don't want to go as far as to say that he doesn't have any leverage because here's the thing about that offense. It's not a crazy dynamic offense at all. And so we saw a lot of improvement in a lot of things that Brian Daboll was able to do, making chicken salad out of chicken, you know what? You know what I'm saying? With the talent that he had, we can't name any of those receivers. Well, Chop probably can. I can't name those receivers right now. You know what I'm saying? I can't. Richie James, I think, is the leading returning receiver.
And Wan'Dale Robinson. I think
Wan'Dale Robinson. I think Chop. See, that's cheating though, because Chop likes Wan'Dale Robinson coming in. That's cheating. So I know that guy.
No, for sure. Nobody else could. I'm not saying that.
But that's nobody knows those guys. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm saying. So, but the thing is, like, when you spend $40 million on Danny Dimes and you spend $100 million on your left tackle, now you're trying to do something. You're trying to do something for something, but my boy, you know what I'm saying? So I think them spending the money they spent, and like it or love it, we can chop it up, we can dissect it, we can do a lot of things. They were a playoff team last year. And so outside of that building, I think a lot of us probably feel the way you do. You know what I'm saying, Tate? I think a lot of us probably feel the way you do, but you got to understand, like, in their own building, you know what I'm saying? Like, we all look at ourselves in the mirror before we go out on the town. We all think we look a lot better to ourselves than we do to anybody who sees us at the bar. You know what I'm saying? That just goes for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So in that building, New York Giants look like, oh shit, but hey, man, we made the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Brian Daboll just got here and he made the playoffs. Oh, it's only up. So they think they have momentum or have juice. And so I don't think that they necessarily feel that way. And they can't imagine themselves being successful without Saquon. So I think he has more leverage than probably we gave him credit for. But like I said, man, we'll never know what he could have made. We'll never know what maybe he could have got because I don't think he applied any leverage. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't even slam a door before he went to his room. He closed his door quietly. You know what I'm saying? Then he came back to the table when they told him. You know what I'm saying? He didn't even leave the house. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, dog. You didn't want to miss day one of OTAs? Come on, man.
I heard you, Willie Jack. I heard you, dog. All right, man. Let's keep on going, Willie Jack. We got a little bit more news to get to, man. But staying on that team, man. We did. You mentioned it a couple times, man. But Andrew Thomas, man, the starting left tackle for the New York Giants, man. My Willie Jack's guy coming into this draft, man. He signs a 5-year, $117.5 million deal that includes $67 million guaranteed. Willie Jack, holla at Alexa for
me. Man, did you say Alexa? You said somebody got
yeah. Holla at Alexa for me, big dog.
Wake your ass up. Kill the young Dolph, man. Kill the King Dolph, man, because somebody got paid, man. What'd you say? 5 years, 117 M's? 117 them things?
117 and a half, $67 million guaranteed, bro.
117 and a half, $60 million guaranteed. Damn. Hey, I'm happy for you, man. Love to see you know what's going on, man. But then, just like Chop said, man, came out of Georgia. I like Chop wasn't feeling Andrew Thomas coming in, man. I like the coming in from Georgia. Like I said, man, he got it going, man, and turn it to a stud at the position, man. So I think it's well deserved. I'm happy he got paid, and that's another thing, man. Like, I can't imagine how Saquon's gonna feel now that he took them little his and I'm speaking figuratively, of course. Saquon took his measly $10 million, and now he's gonna show up and be in the huddle. To his left, he's got $40 million Danny Dimes. Can't help but think, like, how in the hell I sit here and let myself make you $40 million? Then he looks to his right and sees his homeboy. He probably looks up a little bit like, damn, this what $100 million man looks like. And then here I am with my little measly $10 million.
I'm going to tell you who else he looked at, Willie Jack. He looked at James Robinson like, and I can't believe They thought I was gonna hold out, and that's who they was gonna replace me with.
You,
and then turned to the
you
other
was
side
the guy.
and said, then you brought up a Cole Beasley. Oh,
Cole
Cole Beasley.
Beasley.
I'm them two times two.
I'm them two
Got
together.
myself. You couldn't give me what you gave them plus this 10 million.
Bruh,
Just to go
you
over
could have cut both of them, and because I would do that anyway. You could have cut both of them and gave me them contracts, bruh. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Signed, sealed, and delivered. Signed, sealed, delivered. Oh yeah. I'm trying to tell you, man. Hey, man, Saquon back there sitting back like that. But hey, man, it's a good signing. Hey, if you're gonna put that type of investment into a quarterback, you got to go ahead and protect him, man. You got to protect him.
Definitely.
And signing Andrew Thomas is a very valuable option. But then on top of that too, Saquon's also got to be feeling like, well, at least I know I got somebody blocking in front of me that's going to open up some holes. You know what I'm saying? That could possibly help me get to this bag if they're going to give it to me. So I like the signing by Andrew. You got to have a good offensive line, a good left tackle if you want to go far in terms of, the playoffs and, everything else. So I think that I like the signing that they made when it comes to Andrew Thomas.
No, for sure. And as a matter of fact, man, while No Vultures is in the building, man, shout out to my dog. Oh, I don't think you met Ryan, man. Shout out to my dog Ryan Doxley, man. He's another member of the No Vultures podcast crew, man. Good dude, man. But I was talking to him in the chat earlier about the Andrew Thomas signing, and he had beef with the Andrew Thomas signing, being that they didn't have any money for Saquon. And now, you know what? I ain't gonna get into it. I could have sparked something. There, but I caught myself. So I'm gonna let that go.
Like you gotta be careful,
bro. I want to shout you out anyway, bro. Yeah, we had a good little mini discussion, man, talking about the Andrew Thomas versus Saquon, and why one got paid and maybe one didn't. But yeah, nah, man. I think time that got us missed. We gotta keep it pushing.
Gotcha. But let's move on to the same division, though. Well, we're gonna go to the Dallas Cowboys, man. They lock up one of their guys, man. Trayvon Diggs. He gets locked in with the Cowboys for another 5 years, man. It's a $97 million deal that could possibly get up to 104 million, man. This deal, I like this deal. This deal makes sense because one, he was entering his last year of the rookie deal. So hey, instead of waiting a year later, get him a year earlier. You know what I'm saying? Because next year that contract probably gonna be a couple more M's on it. So go ahead and sign him. You want him long term. He's been a playmaker. He shows consistency. He's been healthy. He checks all the boxes that you look for in a starting cornerback, and in terms of a guy that you want to continue to build this defense around. So, well, not necessarily build a defense around, but have as a very, very valuable piece to this defense. So, yeah, man, go ahead and sign him, man. Give him that bread, and he got hit with the Dolph too, man.
Most definitely, man. Like I said, well deserved as well. And this is a guy, and every time when I've talked about or debated about Trayvon Diggs before in the past, what I've always told people as well is we can't forget he was converted to corner at Alabama. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was a receiver when he got there. Stephon Diggs, you know what I'm saying, baby bro. He was following those footsteps. He was a receiver. He gets converted to cornerback. Does well enough there to get himself drafted in the first round. Does well enough once he gets to Dallas to lead the league in interceptions and threaten the all-time single-season interception record. So this is a guy that's came a long way in a very short time. I think last year the interceptions went down, but so did also some of the big plays. He was a much more consistent player, and he's still just as dangerous as he ever been. And now he gets to line up and share a DB room with Stephon Gilmore, one of the best in the business, one of the few cornerbacks to ever win a Defensive Player of the Year award as well. So the arrow is only pointing up for Trayvon Diggs. I absolutely love that. Love the pairing of him and Stephon Gilmore, and I love him getting that bag, man. So for sure, love to see that.
For sure. All right, Woody Jack. Well, staying with Dallas. On the other side of the ball, a very, very valuable piece, man, to that offense and that offensive line, man. And we just talked about it. Both of our top two guard, in the field, still to this day, straighten the hold out, man. He wants some more bread. Zach Martin wants some more bread. What's your take on this one, Willie Jack?
Man, that man need to get paid, man. If we're talking guard, and I think I said this when we talked about interior linemen, for myself, I think I had him number one, you had him number two, but he is the guy, he is the face of that position in the NFL. You know what I mean? So Zach Martin is the guy. And if you guys are here last week, you heard me say this last week, I'm gonna say it again. Zach Martin picked up that banner. He picked up that torch of the guard in the NFL from Marshall Yanda. Marshall Yonder, the longtime guard from the Ravens. Shout out my dog Black, man. If you in the building, man, hey, if you're in the building, holla at me. But yeah, man, longtime Ravens guard, was the best in the business for a decade or more. And then, when he phased out just as Zach Martin was coming in, and Zach Martin picked up that torch as the number one guy at that spot and ran with it. He's ran with it now for going on a decade. And I haven't seen anything to make me think that that's going to change anytime soon. Now, is he the player he was 6 years ago? Of course not, but who is? But he is still a guy that's at the forefront of the position. And honestly, man, and just like I was saying for Saquon, when Saquon sees Andrew Thomas getting paid, man, Zach Martin sees Trayvon Diggs getting paid too now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, hold on now. Okay, you showing up that defense. Now, what we going to do with Tony Pollard coming off injury? What we going to do with Dak Prescott, who led the league in interceptions last year? You know what I mean? So I'm just as vital as I've ever been to this team. You know what I mean? Because you need me to keep both Tony Pollard and Dak Prescott healthy and keep them as operational, as fully functioning as they can. You know what I'm saying? So I think he definitely needs a pay bump, man, for sure.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that. Willie Jack definitely deserves a pay bump, man. May be the best player on that offense. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the best player. I don't know. Actually,
he's the top 3 player on that offense easily.
I think he's the top player on that offense for sure. That's who that
top 3 player on that offense for sure. No, he's the best player on that offense, bro. I'm thinking like in my mind, he's the best guard in the league. He's the best player.
He's the best player on offense, man. I had to think about it a little bit more. Yeah, he's the best player on offense. They got a lot of weapons, but yeah, I think he's the best player.
He's a better guard than CeeDee Lamb receiver. He's a better guard than Dak Prescott is quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like it's him for sure.
For sure. All right, Willie.
Hold on, man. Sis in the building, man. She said that chat Liddy and she love it, man. Hey, we love to talk, man. Y'all talk to us, we talk back now. We keep trying to tell y'all.
That's right. We keep trying to tell y'all, man. So, hey, moving on, Willie Jack. Speaking of holdouts, let's go over to Kansas City, man. Let's go to the AFC, man. And this is a very, very valuable piece to this team on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah. Chris Jones, man. Chris Jones for the Kansas City Chiefs, defensive tackle, man. He's holding out as well. He wants his bread, man. He wants to be paid like, the top player that he is.
He wants to be paid like Aaron Donald. He wants to be paid like Justin Simmons. He wants to be paid like Deron Payne. He wants to be paid like Jonathan Allen. He wants to be paid like Quentin Williams. He wants to be paid like Dexter Lawrence. Kansas City, y'all wilding right now. We didn't see how many defensive tackles get paid, Chop, and these guys are cashing massive record-setting checks, you know what I'm saying, numbers. And then here's a guy who I think has been more dominant than Dexter Lawrence over a longer period of time, more dominant than Quentin Williams over a longer period of time. And you know what I'm saying? And then honestly, Aaron Donald, who is still phenomenal. He was a little banged up last year, but Chris Jones has put himself as that guy, right behind the guy. You know what I'm saying? Aaron Donald has set himself apart. He's earned everything he's got. But that next guy is Chris Jones. And that next guy's been Chris Jones for a little while now. You know what I mean? And then we see the value that he's brought to that defense because, well, I won't lie. I think that defense is getting better around him. But for the longest, it was him.
It was him.
And then it was Honey Badger in the back. Honey Badger's been gone for a minute, though. And then it was just him. And then Nick Bolton kind of grew into the guy that he's looking at. He's going to be going forward. Trey McDuffie and some of these other pieces that they start building around him. But he is the guy that sets the tone, the temperature on the defensive side of that ball. And there's no reason at all he shouldn't be paid. And it feels like they've been putting off paying him for a couple years now. Because this was an issue or story, was it 2 summers ago? And I think or am I tripping? I feel like,
no.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I feel like him working out a contract with Kansas City was a topic a summer or 2 ago, and they worked out some type of stopgap, got something done. They had to move a lot of money around to pay for, Project Pat, to pray for Pity Pat, you know what I mean? So, I can understand that, but Tyreek has walked. Travis Kelce is spending yesterday's money. You know what I'm saying? He already got paid a few years ago. You know what I'm saying? Pity Pat's already 4 years into the massive contract he got. And so nobody else on offense is getting paid. Who's getting paid on that defense? These are all young guys. This is Nick Bolton on a rookie contract. Trent McDuffie on a rookie contract. George Karlaftis on a rookie contract. We're waiting to see him do something this year. So I'm trying to see. I'm wondering. Okay, so where's the money going that we're not paying Chris Jones? Because Kadarius Toney ain't breaking nobody's pockets. Isaiah Pacheco was an undrafted or 7th-round guy. He ain't breaking nobody's pockets. If y'all still playing Clyde Edwards-Helaire, maybe you shouldn't be. You know what I'm saying? Not if we can't afford Chris Jones to get paid. So I need to know, man. I need to know where some of this bread is going. Unless I guess it is. I would imagine it's got to be something tied up with Mahomes' money in that contract. I would imagine there's something there. But here's the thing, Chop. We ask everybody else to make a lot of sacrifices for these teams. Maybe Pat, if he's the guy, if it's his contract, his money slowing things up, maybe Pat should work something out. When's the last time we seen a quarterback not named Tom Brady? You know what I'm saying? Put a little money back into the pig bank for the other 52. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't see it often enough. And so maybe Pat will be the guy to make that decision and keep, you know what I'm saying? Keep the party going. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's for turn the lights off. Keep the party going. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's what gets done. But I can't imagine that Kansas City would go ahead and let him walk. You know what I'm saying? We've seen him let Tyreek walk. We've seen, okay, hey, man, y'all call Tyreek's bluff. You let him get out of there. Won a Super Bowl. Shout out to y'all. Don't play that game with Chris Jones. Don't play that game with Chris Jones.
And I'm with you, Willie Jack. And I think it would make sense to make the most sense if Pat Mahomes ends up being that guy, because this is his legacy. You know what I'm saying? Out of all the players on this team that's going to be part of these Super Bowl teams, or that were a part of the Super Bowl teams in terms of the Chiefs, the guy that's going to get the most recognition, the most pop, you know, who's already getting talks as the best quarterback to ever play the game and things like that, it's going to be him. He's going to be getting all of that. He's going to benefit probably the most from everything. And he's always going to be the highest paid player on this team. So, yes, it would make the most sense for him to be that guy. Now, whether he does it or not, that's on him. I'm not saying you should or you shouldn't. That's on you. But I'm just saying it will make the most sense agreeing with you on that, Willie Jack. But this is very, very dangerous territory in terms of Chris Jones, because, in my opinion, we talked about Tyreek Hill leaving. Without Chris Jones, I don't know if they win a Super Bowl. I don't know if they have what it takes to get over that hump.
They don't get past Cincinnati. He took over that Cincinnati game. He closed that game out.
He is that valuable to that defense, and you have to keep a guy like that in house, because without him, he's the type of guy where everything else falls apart. Now, Kalafdis doesn't look as good anymore. You know what I'm saying? Playing in now, Bolton doesn't have free roam or free reign of roams, east and west, and get in on some of those gaps, because you don't have Chris Jones eating up a lot of those blocks. Like, exactly. He is a very, very valuable piece of this defense and this team. So as we talked about them being top heavy going into the Super Bowl against the Eagles, but that top heavy worked for them. And you got to, if that's the model you're gonna live by, you got to keep a guy like Chris Jones in there, man. So, I'm with you on that one, Willie Jack.
And look, this is one thing we got before we move on. This is the last time I say about this.
Go ahead.
It wasn't too long ago that Kansas City was Burrowhead Stadium. All right. If Chris Jones don't turn up in that fourth quarter and you know what I'm saying, and take that game out of Joe Burrow's hands, because Chris Jones just took over for a series and got them boys up out of there. You know what I'm saying? If Chris Jones doesn't do that, it might still be Burrowhead Stadium. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. Maybe it's Cincinnati playing Jalen Hurts in that Eagles team in that Super Bowl now. You know what I'm saying? So let's not get too. I know it's pretty, and all the fireworks is on the offensive side. We see Pretty Pat. You know what I'm saying? Project Pat, Pity Pat, all them guys. We see those guys over there. You know what I'm saying? Slicing and dicing. But
you gotta know Burrow and them Bengals over there sitting like, y'all got.
Oh man, hey, yeah. Matter of fact, Joni to be in his DMs. Like, man, if I was you, I wouldn't even take that, man. They're gonna give Project Pat 500. They're gonna give him 450 and they won't give you none of that, bro. Hey, look, Cincinnati ain't even too far from Kansas City. Like, ain't no way in hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't no way in the world they can afford to let him get out that building. Especially, like I said, man, we've seen guys who are great players now. We've seen great players get paid. Justice Simmons, Quentin Williams, Dexter Lawrence. None of them has been a Chris Jones. None of those guys are a Chris Jones, and all those guys are $100 million men. So Chris Jones needs his chips with dip, Chop. All of that. I need all them extras. Absolutely. I need all that.
Absolutely. Need that. So go ahead and pay him, man. Yeah. But speaking of money, Willie Jack, and this is the one I've been waiting to get to, man. I've been actually going back and forth a lot on Facebook with a few different guys, man, talking about this particular subject. Yeah. And let's go ahead and talk about it, man. Justin Herbert, man, quarterback of the Los Angeles Chargers, signs the richest deal in NFL history, man. 5 years, $262.5 million. You know what I'm saying? And $133.7 million fully guaranteed. Willie Jack, one more time. I think Alexa cut off.
Hey man, I got to you, man. Hey, it's a big bag alert, man. It's a big bag secured, and it's a big somebody got paid today, boy. What you said, 262 and a half, boy?
262 and a half, big dog.
Man, look here, man. I can tell y'all one thing, man. Y'all can agree or disagree with excuse me, with Justin Herbert. You can agree and disagree about a lot of things. But one thing I'll agree about, he gonna read y'all comments on his way to the bank, boy. Y'all stop playing. Lexa, play that king dog. Get paid, man. Cause I tell you what, yeah, he can read all the comments on the way to the bank. yeah, for sure.
And this is one thing that me and Willie Jack been talking about for quite some time now, man. Is that when it's your turn, it's your turn. You know what I'm saying? And usually that next guy up usually sets that mark, especially at the quarterback position. You know what I mean? We saw Hurts do it. We saw Lamar Jackson do it. Now we see Justin Herbert do it. Back in the day, we saw Dak Prescott do it. At the time, Pat Mahomes, when his time came, he did it. Aaron Rodgers did it.
Leaving New England as a backup who had played 2 games.
Absolutely. That's just a part of the game. And usually it happens to guys where, okay, you could be a great addition, to the team, or we consider you one of the top consistent guys in the league. Now, I don't know. I don't want to put a number to that in terms of maybe a top 10 guy, top 15, whatever the case may be. When it's your time, it's your time. And it was Justin Herbert's time. So he gets that bag. First 3 years, he shows that he proved to the Chargers that, all right, we want you to be our franchise guy. We're going to move forward with you. We want you to lead us to the promised land. And they putting their chips behind it. All right, we putting the money in your hands. Justin Herbert, there's been a lot of talks about you and your performances in the playoffs or when games are on the line or, can you really get it done? And they're letting everybody know, like, hey, man, regardless of what's being talked about with him, we behind him. We stick with him. We're going to pay him because it's going to be our guy for the future. And Herbert goes and gets that check, big dog.
No, he definitely catches his check, and everything you said, man. I agree. I agree with a lot of that as well. Like I said, it's at the quarterback position. It is more about. I mean, you do have to cross a certain threshold, but that threshold is so much lower than just about any other position. Because when we tell you guys like Kirk Cousins, Jimmy G, Dak Prescott, I'm gonna put Dak Prescott in there as well because we don't, nobody considers Dak tier 1 elite. So when there's guys outside of that upper room, when there's guys outside of the VIP table in the back, when there's guys outside of that table, it's guys in general admission. It's guys at general admission, you know what I'm saying, that can jump the line and make more money than the guys that actually sit in that upper room. That's the only position in football that's done. And so none of us should be surprised that Justin Herbert cashed this bag. Now, another thing about this that I think is more to Justin Herbert and the Chargers' benefit than in the examples that we just laid out for y'all is that Justin Herbert has the goods. You know what I'm saying? This isn't Jimmy Garoppolo. You know what I'm saying? This isn't Kirk Cousins. This isn't Dak Prescott. This isn't, a number of other, names and guys that we could throw. And I hate that I'm throwing subliminal shots at these guys when I make this point. I want y'all to get paid as well. But he's a guy that has the goods. This is a guy with truly elite skill, traits, and abilities at the top of this league. And so he's a guy that everything except some of the stuff we've seen on the field, there's no argument about him getting paid. Now, the argument against it is, well, what's he done when the lights is on? And that's been one of the things that I've called him out for these last couple of years is, man, I don't like who he is when the lights on. I like who he is when he can front run. I like who he is when he can get out, you know what I'm saying, when he can get out and when he can get out and there's no pressure, he's not back into a corner and now he's got to respond. And so I like him in those situations where, yeah, man, we run it up, we can have a ball. But the thing that I've still been waiting to see and the thing that a lot of us still want to see and why some of us do critique this deal is that the guys feel like, hey, man, he's not showing up when it's crunch time. He's not showing up when it's fourth quarter and now we down 4 points. We down 4 now and now there's a minute 36. You know what I'm saying? That's when this is the point where guys want him to show up to justify that money in their minds. But just like my dog Chop reminded everybody, like we've said before, that doesn't matter when you're paying quarterbacks. Whose turn is it? Whose turn is it? Who's up next is just as much or more important in a lot of aspects or in a lot of respects when talking about getting these deals done. And so nobody should be surprised. And honestly, like I said, man, it's not a question of his talent at all. This is a supremely talented guy. And if he can get a little bit of that, man, that Kobe mentality, man, that Mamba mentality, guys, or it's NBA reference, but get a little of that Mamba mentality, man, and this is a guy that can really take this league over. He's got those type of tools, but he just has to tap into that mindset.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's all right, Willie Jack, because sooner or later, everybody gonna be singing that tune. Everybody gonna be part of that band. You know what I'm saying? Drum line. You know how we gonna do it? We just gonna wave our fingers just like this when my dog doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna wave our fingers because it's MVP time, baby. He about to go get the MVP. He said, "Oh, y'all gonna get
my dog Chop said this like a month and a half ago.
Before the bag.
MVP. But he
before
was
the
early
bag.
to go with that.
Before the bag." And don't get me
Before the
wrong,
bag.
I don't get me wrong, I crucify him as well because
Mhm.
I'm the one that's been rooting for him for a little while now. But when you don't show up, you don't show up. It is what it is. You know, I've always been a person that's been upfront and honest when it comes to, you know, the type of play that he's had. And I've talked about that on multiple shows. But man, don't tell me he ain't his turn, man. It's his turn. Y'all push for a lot of these other guys, man. Don't come hate on this man money. That man, he earned that money, man. It's his turn. You know what I'm saying? And he's a lot better than a lot of the other guys that they got paid when it was their turn. So if y'all ain't say it then, I don't want to hear it now, man. I don't want to hear it now. That's where I'm coming from.
For sure.
Gotcha, Willie Jack. Well, look, man, that is our news for the day, Willie Jack. We went through that news, man. We talked about a lot of the things, talking about Barkley, talked about everybody. But now it's time to jump into the show, man. Jump into the meat and potatoes. What we came here to talk about today, man, which was the off-ball linebackers as well as our tight ends today, man. We're gonna start it off with the linebackers, Willie Jack. We're gonna jump into those guys. So,
yes, sir.
Before we get into it, Willie Jack, I'm gonna talk a little about this. I changed my list up a few different times, Willie.
Okay.
I changed my list up a few different times because I was thinking about, okay, what do I look for in a linebacker? What do I want to see? And then also trajectory. You know, where these guys are headed, what teams they with, and so on and so forth. So I changed my list up a few different times, as well as the tight end too, man. I got a little excited at one point, you know, but forget it, man. That's what makes for a spicy show today, Willie, a spicy show. So let's jump off into these linebackers, Willie Jack. Start me off, man. Who is your number 5 linebacker going into the 2023 season?
Yeah, and you know what, man? I as well also did a little bit of movement, as is my nature. And you know what, man? I'm not gonna lie. I made a last minute edit right now.
I'm cool.
Number 5 to start my list, I'm going with Lavonte David, linebacker out of Tampa Bay. Here's the reason that right now on the spot, reviewing my list, that I just dropped him. I just dropped him to 5 from where he was at. And honestly, he is getting low. He is an older guy at the position now. He's one of the elder statesmen at the position. So this is a guy, I think he's about 33, 34, I want to say. So he is an older guy position. Now, also as well, and it's no surprise because we've seen it now unfold this last season or so. But that defense around him, especially in that front seven, he's the only bright spot in that. No, excuse me, him and Vita Vea. He's got Vita Vea in front of him, who hadn't been as dominant as he was maybe 2-3 seasons ago. They haven't found an answer at edge rusher. They didn't find an answer at edge rusher with Shaq Barrett. Help me out. Yeah, Shaq Barrett being injured all this last year. Joe Tryon, the guy they had drafted in the first round a couple years ago, he hasn't really popped. And so that D-line hasn't performed well, and it's impacted all the linebackers behind them, him and Devin White. Neither of those guys, well, Devin White specifically, hasn't necessarily been great, or I guess hasn't really been, I guess, a guy that we're looking for to kind of lead and be a top guy at the position. Lavonte David has still been that old reliable. He's been that ever-present constant in Tampa Bay now for the better part of a decade. But where he makes his money at is in coverage. And with it being a passing league, he always is going to be a guy that grades well. And he's continued that trend. But I'm looking at this team. The more I think about it, I don't imagine Tampa Bay is going to be a team that finishes above third place, maybe in that division, is what I'm thinking. And then also, he's another year older. He's another step slower. I still don't necessarily think they made the additions that they need around him to maybe keep him clean, because this is a smaller, faster sideline to sideline guy. And so you need big bodies like Vita Vea. You need big bodies like when they had Ndamukong Suh just a few years ago, lining up next to Vita Vea as well. You need those guys to kind of keep him clean so he could be the best version of himself. And they don't really have that. And so, like you say, you've got Vita Vea still there by himself. And then you've got nobody else until you get to that secondary. And then there's some pieces there I like. But all told, I'm going to move him down to 5 because I still expect him to be a premier guy as far as his coverage goes. But the run defense and just that defense as a whole, man, didn't look the way that we would have wanted to look, especially last year. That ugly playoff loss is a perfect example where he was out there getting honey roasted just with the 10 other guys on that defense. But still individually is still a phenomenal player. Lavonte David at 5.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. And the thing with Lavonte David, man, is if we go off of last season, if you ask me if he finished as a top 5 linebacker, I would say yes. But of course, with this being a little bit more of a projection,
exactly,
he just missed my list, Willie Jack. He just missed it,
yeah.
And it was for a lot of the reasons that you mentioned. One, he's getting a little bit older, but two, the one thing that I started to put together in terms of the linebackers that I have on my list, and there may be one or two that maybe don't have this quality as much, but Lavonte David, man, when it comes to like one of those stacked linebackers, they have the ability, even when they aren't making as big of an impact, to keep everybody else in line, to still hold together a defense. And I think at times that defense started to fall apart. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people may feel like, oh, that ain't fair, man, to hold that against him. But, you know, that's what some of these other linebackers do. So it's not necessarily a knock against him, but more so a pad to what some of these other linebackers actually do, and the reason why I have him a little bit higher on this list, especially projecting into the 2023 season, man. So that was part of the reason. Still one of the best linebackers in the game. A lot of people was ready to bang that will to really hop on the Devin White train, you know, from those first couple years, man. But after a couple years, it was obvious that Lavonte David is the one of those two linebackers. He's the guy, you know what I'm saying, that's running the show and the better of the two.
No, and for sure. And that's the thing about Devin White as well, because there was a point where his name had just got super hot, and guys were, I think he got and I hate to take away anything from him, but I think he got a little too much credit or too much publicity for his play, and it stemmed from that playoff run. He was on fire that Super Bowl playoff run,
and I think that's the thing.
That's what it was.
When you get on fire in those situations, exactly. When the lights get the biggest, exactly. Of course you don't get the most recognition, and he definitely was.
He did, and he had a phenomenal playoff run. He had a phenomenal playoff run there, and I think that kind of inflated the opinion of his overall play outside of that stretch, much, or to a smaller degree, kind of to a larger degree, what we saw from Joe Flacco. That playoff run kind of catapulted and made, you know, he made his bones in that playoff run and got himself paid, and then he reverted back to the guy that he had always been. And so we've seen that before, like I said, somewhere else, and I think that's what happened with Devin White as well, because if we're just looking at his play all told outside of that run, then it hasn't been anything, anything to write home about. Still surprised to see he missed your list though, man. Because yeah, he's still one-on-ones now.
Yeah, no, he is. That's why I wanted to give him that credit. He is one of the ones. But I'm projecting though. Which is why my number 5 linebacker, man, I'm going over to Indianapolis, man. I'm going with Shaq Leonard, man. Mm-hmm. Shaq Leonard, man. I'm going with him as my number 5 linebacker. First and foremost, man, just an athletic freak. If you see him, he looks a little bit smaller. He's definitely a tall linebacker, long arms. You know, but when it comes to his ability and his impact on the game when he's healthy, last year he suffered an injury that took him out of the game a little while. So, you know, it didn't seem like Indianapolis was just banged up on both sides of the ball. But when he's in the game, man, you're talking about forced fumbles, getting that ball out, creating plays for his defense, you know, for them to turn the ball over and put the ball back in their hands. Shaq Leonard was the key guy to this. You know what I'm saying? This was another one of those defenses that didn't have a bunch of pieces, but he definitely stood out amongst the guys that they had on this particular defense. You know what I'm saying? From sideline to sideline, from his ability in coverage. Now, he may miss a couple of plays here and there in terms of like his consistency or taking huge risk, but overall, when you're talking about on a down by down basis, you can count on him. He's going to be there. He's going to make a lot of plays for you, and he's going to create turnovers. That's what Shaq Leonard brings to the table. That's what he brought to the table for this Indianapolis defense, and I project him doing that as he comes into the season fully healthy on this rejuvenated team. So I got Shaq Leonard, man, as my number 5 spot going into the season. Go ahead with Shaq. Talk to me, dog. Talk to me. That's what I got you on here for. I need you to tell me what's up.
No, I love that pick, and I'll tell you why I love that pick. I just bumped Shaq Leonard off my list when I moved Levante David down to 5. And then as soon as I hear you say Shaq Leonard, I was like, damn, I should have left Shaq Leonard on my list.
Hey, it's all good, bro. Like they both right there though. As we both can agree, they neck and neck.
No, and well, here's the thing about Shaq Leonard as well. He's a guy that was threatening top 2, top 3 at the position
Absolutely.
maybe 3 years ago. And
Absolutely.
then, like I said, he did get injured. And then he dealt with some injuries. It dealt in battle with some injuries. And then honestly, I don't know if he's been the same linebacker he's been since he changed his name, since he started going by Shaquille instead of Darius. When he was Darius Leonard, he was out here caving boys face mask in. I don't know what happened. You changed the name to Shaq, man. And now we ain't seen you around, boy. But no, man, I agree with everything.
The boy looked like Derek Fisher.
He kind of do. But no, I agree with everything he said, man. I do enjoy his game. His nickname is Maniac. That's just a weird nickname. It's not even catchy. But that just goes to show you his temperament on the field. When they named him, he got that name playing at South Carolina State, I want to say. Is where he came out of. I was a fan of him coming in, and I love his early success in Indy, especially being a small school guy. Still got himself drafted in the second round, so I'm not mad at that at all. The reason why I end up just bumping him now is like, you know what? He's been injured. He's had a down this last year and a half, or maybe even these last 2 years. He's been kind of up and down and dealing a lot of with injury. But I also had him at my 5 spot initially because I expect him to be healthy now and really ready to bounce back and get back to the guy that we had seen. But so I don't have any qualms with that pick at all. Good pick.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's move on to the number 4 then. My number 4 guy, I'm going to go over to New Orleans, man. I'm going to go to New Orleans. I'm going to talk Demario Davis, man. Demario Davis is my number 4 guy. So there's a few things that you can point to when you talk about the consistency of this New Orleans defense. Okay. You can talk about Lattimore and the star cornerback and how he's been locked in, locked down. You know, he faces the number 1 receiver each and every week. You know what I'm saying? And the impact that he has on the defense. You can talk about Cameron Jordan, who's been a staple in this defense for years now. He's getting a little bit up there, but you can count on 10, 11, 12 sacks each and every year in and year out. You know, so he's Mr. Consistency when it comes to defensive ends in the NFL, and you can count on him. But another guy you cannot leave out, and I think he actually doesn't get as much credit as he probably deserves, is Demario Davis, man. Demario Davis came into the league. Now he's a little bit older, and most people probably don't even realize he's already played 11 seasons in the league.
Oh yeah,
he's been in the league a while, and it took him a while to really get up to speed. And that was partially because he came into the league as strictly a run defender. Okay, against the run, he was lights out. I'm talking about left to right. You know what I'm saying? Wherever you want to run a ball, Demario Davis was going to be there. He was going to be in that play, and he was going to put his face in your chest. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't coming light either. He was bringing that thunder. So that's the type of guy that he was. It wasn't until later in his career he started to develop a little bit more discipline when it comes to the zone coverages and being where he's supposed to be and making an impact and that side of the game. That's where he started to develop as he got a little bit older and became one of the better linebackers in this league. And as it just seems like it's aging like fine wine, man. He continues to get better. He continues to show, you know, that he's here and he's going to continue to be a great part of this defense. And I could expect a lot of the same coming up into this 2023 season. So Demario Davis, man, I got him in my number 4 spot.
No, I'm not mad at that at all. I'm thinking if I want to make a move here. Or not. You know, all right. I'm gonna go ahead and make a move here. Demario Davis, I'm gonna put him at my number 4 as well. But because I agree, my man, well, this whole list has been pretty good. 3 and 4. I had him at full disclaimer. I had him at 3, but honestly, I'm not. I had him at 3, but I'm gonna go 4. Honestly, I could chime in with you right now because I agree with all the things you said. He's another guy as well, much like Levante David, man. But like you just said, you hit it right on the head. Aging like fine wine, man. Aging like wine, as consistent as they come at the position across both sides. And like I said, and I'm glad you mentioned it as well, because Levante David was that guy for a long time where it's just like he was playing phenomenal ball, great ball, and nobody knew who he was. Demario Davis is a guy that we kind of feel like he's been playing great ball in the middle of that New Orleans Saints defense now for 5, 6, 7 years, but he's still a guy that his name just isn't a name that just jumps to the forefront when we mention guys at the position, and it absolutely should. So he's been the market consistency. One thing I like about him over a guy like Devontae David is they both play very well in coverage, but I think he is definitively the superior run defender, and so I think he's got a little more thump, a little more downhillness to his game, which is why I kind of edge him over Levante David. But still, both these guys still phenomenal at the position, and still it's a treat to see these guys still playing so well, even like I said, 10 and 11 years into their careers now. So no complaints at all from me, man. Demario Davis, 4 for the New Orleans Saints.
Gotcha. All right, Willie Jack, come on in.
And now I'll roll into my number 3 guy. And like I said, man, I had all these guys jumbled up, man. Like I said, I'm splitting hairs here. You know what I mean? A little bit. But even last minute right here when I switched it, because I'm going to go with the younger guy. And so I'm going to go with the younger guy. You know what I mean? There's only so much credit we can give you for your yesterdays, man. We got to look at these tomorrows. I'm going Matt Milano, man. Matt Milano, linebacker from Buffalo Bills at number 3.
Go ahead. Huh? Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So Matt Milano gets my number 3 spot here now. And this is a guy, man. He's a little undersized. He's not a tremendously big guy, but this is a guy flies around, sticks his face mask in any pile anywhere in this field, gets sideline to sideline, arrives with authority. And this one thing I want to say about Matt Milano that I really appreciate is he's a guy that on a critical when it's 3rd and 4. He's the guy that gets his fingers on the ball to tip the ball and make an incomplete pass. He's the guy that rallies to the flat and makes an open field tackle against a running back to stop a drive from continuing and get his defense off the field. And so he's a guy that tends to fly around and make plays. And then here's another thing as well. He was the guy who was initially the sidekick. He was the Robin. Tremaine Edwards was the guy. Edwards was the guy that was to be the Patrick Willis on that team. He was meant to be the Navarro Bowman of that unit. And well, what ended up happening is he outplayed Tremaine Edmonds for definitely those first 4 years. Now Tremaine Edmonds had a tremendous 2022. And so everything came together, and I think he definitely put his best year together on both sides of the ball for sure. But he had to cash his check. He had to cash his check in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Because Buffalo was like, you know what, man, we got this guy over here. We got, you know what I'm saying? We got Matt over here, man, doing all right. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and get $70 million for Chicago, man. We'll slide Matt from the 2 to the 1, and we'll build around Matt now. You know what I mean? And that's just what they did. And so, and like I said, and I don't have any qualms about it, man. Tremendous player, a guy that wasn't heralded coming into this league. I can't tell you where he played at. You know what I'm saying? I have no idea where Matt Milano played at, what round he got drafted, where he came from. I don't know. I just know, I believe he's Italian. And he flies around making plays, man. That's the only thing I can tell you about Matt Milano, man, is that he balls. So that's the guy I've got at number 3 there, man. And I imagine he's on your list. I'm curious to see where I would imagine he's on your list, but I don't know about Chop. I don't know. What you think?
So here's the thing, Willie Jack, and that's what I was getting ready to say from the very beginning is the fact that Matt Milano is also my number 3 guy, man.
Okay.
Also my number 3 guy, and it's for a lot of the reasons that you mentioned. And you definitely mentioned some of the things that I was going to talk about in terms of like the him being the sidekick. But I view Matt Milano as just a weapon. He's a defensive weapon. He's a guy that you can move around in so many different places. And when I talked earlier about the guy that you can put in the middle of a defense, a linebacker that you can say, all right, he will make everybody else around him better by making sure everybody else is on their job, making sure everybody else is in a position. He knows what everybody's doing. I don't know if Matt Milano is necessarily that guy because he does so much himself. It's hard to be the guy to direct here and say, oh, he's got here, watch this. Okay, watch the off tackle here. Watch the stretch play. Or do all of this when you're a guy that you may line up in a stack in the middle of a defense. Or you may line up, head up against a tight end, or your assignment may be Travis Kelce. You may line up against a slot guy. So you're all over the field, so it's kind of hard for you to be there, but he is just as valuable as those guys who can line up and say, you do this, you do this, you do that, because those guys can't necessarily do everything themselves. Matt Milano can. And Matt Milano, he came in as a safety, Willie Jack. He used to play safety, okay? That's why when you were talking about him being a little smaller.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so coming in as that type of guy, he was He came in as a safety, man. He came from Boston College. Played a little bit safety, and he ended up getting moved to linebacker, which is why he is so versatile in the way that he plays that linebacker position. That's why you can move around in so many different places. And just like you said, it was Tremaine Edmonds that was expected to be the guy, the athletic specimen, the guy that was bigger, stronger, faster, and just more athletic. But you turn on the film, all you can see is Matt Milano all over the place. Getting off of blocks, making tackles, big plays behind the line of scrimmage, open field tackles. Like you see that down in and down out from Matt Milano. So the Bills just say, like you mentioned, Willie Jack, man, we can build around this right here. I know you want to go get your bag. Tremaine Evans, go ahead and get your bag. We're going to build around this right here and still add more pieces. Will allow us to bring in a Von Miller, to bring in, all these other pieces and keep them here so that we can try to put this championship team together. So Matt Milano is also my number 3 guy, Willie Jack, because of a lot of the things you said, but just the versatility, man. He's just a defensive weapon, through and throughout. So, yeah, that's where I had him at too, Willie Jack.
No, and you know what? And what's very interesting about that is what, because I really did not know. Honestly, I did not know that safety background at all about Matt Milano. I feel like one day I was watching Buffalo Bills trying to check out Tremaine Evans, and I seen this light skinned dude, number 56 or whatever number he is. He's flying around making plays, like, you know what I mean. So I didn't have any. I didn't know anything about him. But here's another thing as well. He's a good rusher. Like he gets after the quarterback as well. He blitzes well. He rushes well, and so. Hearing now that he was a safety originally, moves the linebacker, flies around and hits anything moving like he does, and even, gets in there in the backfield, plays around with, some of those edge blockers as well, man. And like that's very impressive to see the player that he is coming from a safety background. So yeah, I did not know that.
Absolutely, yeah. So it took him a little bit of adjustment to be able to play the run the way he is, but the way he's playing now, man.
He's a buzzsaw now, boy. I was going to say he is everywhere. Yeah, he is everywhere.
Sky's the limit. So, moving on to my number 2 linebacker, and this is my guy. And I'm afraid that we may have the same exact list coming up, Willie Jack, because I know you probably got this guy on your list because this is one of your favorites. He became one of my favorites over time. Willie Jack talked him up to me so much.
Yeah,
and I fell in love with him, man. Roquan Smith, man. Roquan Smith, little middle linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens, is my number 2 linebacker going into the 2023 season. So this is the thing, okay? Roquan Smith, I just want to give everybody a heads up on what he did this past season alone, okay? Roquan Smith stepped over into the Ravens defense without missing a beat, without missing a game, without having to learn a playbook. He came over and changed that defense instantly. Okay, this defense went from above average, good defense to the number 1 defense from the game he played to the end of the season. I think he played 8 games with the Baltimore Ravens, for the second half of the season. This defense was the number 1 defense from the moment Roquan stepped over there to the end of the season. Now, we're also talking about the San Francisco 49ers defense too, the defense that actually finished number 1 last year. So to see what he was able to do in that short amount of time, without learning everything, was very, very impressive to me and showed how valuable a guy like him can be. Finished the season with 169 total tackles, 11 tackles for loss, and 7 of those tackles for loss came over when he was with Baltimore. So only 4 came with the first 8 or 9 games. Then the second half, that's when he got the 7 tackles for loss. So that boy was over there balling. He was over there getting busy, and that helped that defense finish top 10 in the NFL. Whereas without him, they probably would have finished maybe top 15, top 17 type defense. With him, they end up finishing top 10 because of that last stretch that they made. You know what I'm saying? So Roquan definitely had a great impact. He's a great run defender. He's good in the pass as well. He can rush the passer. Like, he can do it all. He's that do-it-all type of linebacker. Now, you won't necessarily line him up like you would do a Matt Milano against, you know what I'm saying?
No, he's more traditional in the box, man. Let him see ball, get ball.
He's more that traditional guy, but he is that guy that can make everybody else around him better. He is that guy that can give direction and can be the leader of this defense, and everybody kind of follows suit, which I think is going to raise the level of play for this Baltimore Ravens defense in general, which is why I got some high expectations for the Baltimore Ravens, man. Y'all went out and did a lot of these moves. Y'all went and signed your boy Lamar Jackson, okay? All right, you got you. You signed them. You brought in Odell. You drafted another weapon. J.K. Dobbins is healthy. You still got Mark Andrews. Defense, you brought up Roquan Smith last year. Now, you did lose Marcus Peters, but y'all got enough DBs to get the job done. Of course, they drafted Kyle Hamilton, who turned into a great safety last year out of Notre Dame. So they got a lot of good pieces over there, man. So it's just about putting everything together, and Roquan Smith is going to be a huge piece to what could be a very dangerous team this upcoming season. So Roquan Smith, he's my number 2 linebacker going into the 2023 season, man.
No, and honestly, like you said, I've got the same list, man. Yeah, Roquan Smith at number 2, man. This is a guy I absolutely loved. Roquan Smith coming out of Georgia. I loved that guy. I loved him. And I'll tell you why I loved him so much. And what I used to say this about him all the time. I would tell anybody about him when he was coming in. He reminded me of a young Patrick Willis. Like I said, I'm talking about just a guy, see ball, good ball, and man, he is a rabbit pit. He is a rabbit pit bull off the chain. He is a rabbit pit bull off the leash. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is coming straight downhill. He is splitting somebody's face mask when he get there. And so was definitely a big fan of him coming in. Like the work that he was doing in Chicago, man, he just didn't have a lot of those pieces around him to really blossom and just kind of show what he could do. And so Chop used to say this all the time, man. Sometimes it's not who you are, it's where you at. And sometimes that's the case, man, because goes from Chicago to Baltimore, and then Chop just told you the impact that he has, man. So took over that defense. That's his defense now. Who's the leader of that defense? Who will we say? He's been there half a season. That's his defense. You know what I'm saying? So came in, made an impact, made his name known, and went out there, man, and got busy. And we seen how he turned that defensive ship around for them, and cashed a pretty good bag as well. I think he's a $100 million man as well deserved. But yeah, man, definitely when he was coming in, man, reminded me of a young Patrick Willis, man. And so yeah, I've been a fan of his for a while now. So happy to see that he's getting the recognition that he deserves for sure. So I also have no disagreement, man. Number two. I guess number 1, we might as well tag team it. We got the same one.
We might as well. My number 1, our number 1 linebacker going into the 2023 season is Bobby Wagner.
Hey, Bobby had a good year last year.
Bobby had his time. He had his time, man. He had his time. But no, man, our number 1 linebacker going into the 2023 season, man, is of course none other than Fred Warner, man, San Francisco 49ers. I'm talking about a missile. I'm talking about. I would say I think I'm okay with saying the most athletic linebacker in the NFL. You know what I'm saying, in terms of his speed. You know, his sideline to sideline quickness, his ability to cover well down the field. I don't know. A lot of y'all, we talked about the play where he was running stride for stride with CeeDee Lamb down the middle of the field. Now, granted, the throw could have been a little bit better, but his ability to still be there, track, knock that ball away, get him a PDL, you know what I'm saying, on that play, was just impressive in itself. You know, and cover 2 and Tampa 2. As a middle linebacker, you don't see too many linebackers running stride for stride with a number 1 receiver down the middle of the field. There's not too many guys that can actually do that. But Fred Warner is one of those guys. You know what I'm saying? He's one of those guys. And he's also one of those guys that direct the defense. You know, he is a jack of all trades in terms of anything. You can line him up, you know, to cover, you know, a guy one-on-one. You can also count on him to know what everybody's doing on their defense, to make sure everybody is aligned properly, and be a really good weapon in terms of, you know, what he brings to the table. So, of course, Fred Warner, I'm gonna leave some meat on the bone for you too, Willie Jack, man. He's my number 1 linebacker going into the 2023 season.
No, and like I said, man, I agree completely. And this is the thing, man. Fred Warner is the guy. Like, he is the prototypical modern day linebacker, because just like Chop said, he is an absolute weapon in the pass game as well. Or even if we don't want to go as far, no. I think we can call him a weapon. I think we do, because Chop just told us, man, he can get 30 yards down the field and get a pass break up on a top 10 receiver in this league. You know what I mean? And so he's another guy. He gives me Levante Davis coverage. He gives me Roquan Smith's thump. He gives me Matt Milano's sideline to sideline versatility. I mean, you know, so he's very well-rounded, and I just don't think there's many if any holes in his game. And he's also a guy. He's still a young guy. He's settled into his own now, and like I said, this is his time now, being the guy who holds that torch for that position. So we've seen this happen over here. We've seen Ray Lewis. We've seen Ray Lewis transition into Patrick Willis. We've seen Patrick Willis transition into Luke Kuechly, and now we've seen Luke Kuechly transition into Bobby Wagner. Well, now we've seen Bobby Wagner transition into Fred Warner. Or if you're asking me, you know what I mean? It's like the guys that sit at the pinnacle of the position, and I think definitely Fred Warner is definitely that guy. Like my dog Chop just said. He could do it all. He's definitely the commander of that defense. Now, one thing that he does have going for him that we should probably mention, just in fairness, he's got a lot around him as well to work with. The guy that stands right next to him isn't too bad as well, Dre Greenlaw. If this list went to 10, Dre Greenlaw would have had his name called tonight.
Absolutely.
For myself.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And for Chop too, it sounds like as well. And then let's not forget, man, he's probably got the baddest man on the planet, man, with his hand in the dirt on the edge of the football field. In front of him as well, and Nick Bosa, they just brought over the best penetrating one technique in Javon Hargrave as well. So he's got Tyler, who you found you. He's got him in the back as well, all pro. You know what I'm saying? First year starter. So he's got a lot of stuff around him as well. But I'm not gonna let it take away from him because I didn't let Tony Saragusa and Bart Scott, Terrell Suggs, Ed Reed, Chris McAllister. I didn't let those guys take away from how dominant and great Ray Lewis is. So I'm not gonna let that happen with Fred Warner as well. But I just did want to make that point. But no, man, phenomenal player. Like I said, prototypical modern day linebacker. This is a passing league, and this is a guy that's not a liability on third down by any stretch. You know what I'm saying? And so I think, you'll have no arguments here from me. I don't think you'll have arguments from anybody that knows football as well, man, about this guy not being if he's not number one. You got to tell me why he's 1B because he's not number 2. So you got to tell me why he's 1B if he's not number 1. Unless you tell me Luke Kuechly decided to pick his helmet back up. If you're not telling me that, then this is the guy. And so, no arguments for me.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. So that rounds out our list, man. Run it back one more time, Willie Jack. Let me know your 5 through 1. And actually, you tell me your 5, I'll tell you your 5, I'll tell you my 5, and then we just run through 4 through 1 because our 4 through 1 was exactly the same. So
okay, for sure. Okay, so go ahead and tell you my okay.
So my number 5 linebacker going into the 2023 season was Shaq Leonard, man. Who was your number 5, Willie Jack?
Okay, Shaq. Okay, all right, now so okay, then I moved. I had Levante David.
Yeah, okay, cool. 5, okay. And running through our 4 through 1 because it was exactly the same. Yeah. Mario Davis came in for both of us at number 4. At number 3, Matt Milano, Buffalo Bills came in for us. Number 2, Roquan Smith of the Baltimore Ravens, and then number 1 rounding out the list, as y'all just heard us talk about, Fred Warner. Any honorable mentions for you, Willie Jack? Who was your honorable mentions, man?
Yeah, man. Well, for me, man, Shaq Leonard, who a last-second adjustment cost him his spot on my list, man. So Shaq Leonard for sure. Bobby Wagner's still playing good ball, man. I mean, he really is. I mean, he's lost a slight step. You know what I'm saying? Maybe instead of sideline to sideline, he's hash to hash now. But like I say, hash to hash, boy, that's your ass though. Don't play with Bobby now. Hey, you know what I mean? He's still splitting face masks on Sundays now. But then like I said, and still maybe a guy now on third down, he's rushing the passer instead of playing coverage. But he's when he was with your Rams, he had like 8 sacks. No, maybe that's to me. Maybe 6, 7 sacks.
Somewhere he was getting up that middle though.
Oh yeah, but he became an asset that way, and so he's still an asset on third down because now he's transitioned to an additional rusher instead of dropping in coverage, but still playing great ball. Dre Greenlaw, who we just mentioned as well, he gets to stand next to Fred Warner and enjoy, like I said, all the fruits of being, robbing the Batman. And then last one I want to say, man, Nick Bolton, man, the young guy from Mizzou, stayed and was drafted by the hometown Kansas City Chiefs. The hometown team in Kansas City, man, and he's I don't even want to say slowly because he's still a young guy, but no. So you know what? He's quickly turning into a guy on the rise. He's a guy that Chris Jones is the face of that Chiefs defense. Nick Bolton's the type of guy that pretty soon here he's going to be the heart of it. He's going to be the guy that's kind of be the rallying guy around him on that defense. And it makes sense because most times your middle linebacker, he's kind of your quarterback of your defense, so it's only right. Nick Bolton has assumed that role as a young guy in Kansas City, and I'm excited to watch him continue to progress and get better. So he's a guy on the rise as well. I wanted to mention.
Gotcha. And all those guys that you mentioned, Willie Jack, were also guys that I felt like were on my list or on my honorable mention, especially Dre Greenlaw. But just to throw out a different name, man, just to give you guys somebody else to look at or pay attention to, Jeremiah Owusu Carmore, man.
JOK, all right.
okay, man. Give you another guy to look at. A very, very versatile linebacker coming out of Notre Dame,
I
man.
loved him out of Notre Dame. I did.
Man, a firecracker.
I wanted him to stay. I wanted him to play safety. I wanted him to be a strong safety, bro. I thought he legitimately was a strong safety.
So I can see him playing a little bit of strong safety, but Willie Jack, at the same time, in the league of today, man, you need a guy like him that's consistently in the box that can do a little bit of both because of the impact he can have and the way their offenses, run, or they actually the way their offenses utilize receivers and things like that. So I like what he's doing. I like what they got him at. And he's playing some real good ball, man, making an impact over there in Cleveland on that Browns defense. So that's another guy I just wanted to throw out there at you guys. And yeah, man, we can there's our honorable mention. There's our top 5 linebackers. Willie Jack, did you have something, man? Did you want to run corner across a couple comments before?
Oh yeah, man. I was just about to say that, man. Shout out to some of the members in the building, man. Our dog, man, BP, man, no balls, no glory in the building, man. And he just dropped a note in there, man, on the tight end side of things, man. We about to get to them tight ends here shortly, but he's saying that Mayer would be a sleeper at tight end, man. The kid that just got drafted by the Raiders. I'm assuming that's what he's talking about. Yeah, the kid who just got drafted by the Raiders. I want to say in the second round out of Notre Dame as well. Speaking of Notre Dame. And so, but that's like, man, already as a sleeper, man, you think he's gonna be a guy in the top 5 and so, man. If you're gonna tell me he's gonna be top 5, BP, I'm gonna need to see your 5, brother. It's some guys at that tight end position now. But yeah, man. So shout out to our dog, man, BP, man. No balls, no glory. Check those guys out Thursdays, man. Thursdays on YouTube, man. Check my dog out for sure. And then yeah, man, wifey in the building as well, man. Oh, go ahead.
I'm not gonna say Tuesdays and Thursdays. They're in there Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay. Tuesdays and Thursdays, then, man. Hey, tap in, man. No balls, no glory, man. They get all the way around the board, man. So they'll get a little baseball talk in there for sure. BP has a baseball background. Our dog Chop, man, he has a baseball background as well, man. They get into all the sports though, man. They get into football pretty heavy, especially with fantasy and fantasy for sure. Man, I've seen them talk about topics, man, in the NBA, man. So they do a little bit of everything over there, man. So tap in with my dogs, man. YouTube, man. Check those guys out. That's No Balls, No Glory. And that's Tuesdays and Thursdays, man. Come on now.
For sure, man. But yeah, like I said, we talked about the news. We went into the linebackers, man. When we come back, we're going to jump into these tight ends, man. We'll be right back.
Don't go nowhere. Today's episode of Let the Film Speak, hosted by the wonderfully handsome and intelligent brothers of Let the Film Speak. That's Chop and your main man, Willie Jack. Yeah, feel me. Also brought to you by the 3 Amigos. Y'all know them and you love them, man. That's the 3 Amigos. That's like, that's share, that's subscribe. That's 3 the hard way. That's a 3-piece spicy. You cannot go wrong. Now, I say the same thing every week, so y'all can say that home with me. I know y'all ready for it. Here we go. It's 3 Amigos, but it's 4 parts to this process, big dog. First, you just got to tap in. Like my dog said, man, come in, tap in. Just say what's up, man. Just holler. Hey, what's up, 3 Amigos, man? Like, share, subscribe. Hey, Chop, man. Willie, man, what's going on, man? It's cool I sit on the couch? For sure. Y'all got some cold to drink? Oh, man, my man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the way, man, I'm a Broncos fan. That's all you got to do. That's it. That's easy. And Chop, come in, sit down, get comfortable, get a cool adult beverage, and let us know who you ride with, big dog. Then tell a friend. Like, man, that's a nice meal in here, ain't it? Man, it's cool, man. My homeboy was out. He was down. Man, it's cool. I can tell a friend. Tell a friend, man. And you know what? Even better than that, you can tell your friend to tell a friend. Guess what? There's more. You can tell your friend's friend to bring his partner to. Bring one more because we need 4, man. Bring them up into the penthouse. Tap in with your dogs, man. Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. You know we don't wear no watches. We ain't got nowhere else to be but in here kicking football flavor with the fam. And now back to the regularly scheduled program.
All right. And as my dog Willie Jack told y'all, man, like, share, subscribe, tell your homeboys, tell them to come on, tap in with your boys. Y'all in here right now, man. I see a few people in here, man. If y'all in here, y'all ain't talked to us yet. Y'all ain't talked to us thus far, man. Talk to us. Let us know what's going on, man.
Y'all know we talk back now. Come on.
Talk to us, man. Y'all know we talk back. Y'all know how we get down. But Willie Jack, we're gonna go ahead and jump into these top 5 tight ends, man. We're gonna get this. We're gonna make it spicy. And this is the one, Willie Jack. I may have switched some things around for you a little bit, man. And I may have, a name or two that's maybe a little bit higher than what you expected. Okay. I don't know, man. We're going to see. But let's go ahead and jump into it. And I'm going to start this one off, Willie Jack. I'm going to start this one off. So my number 5 tight end, okay? My number 5 tight end going into the 2023 season is going to be none other than Dallas Goedert, man. Dallas Goedert, Philadelphia Eagles tight end. He quietly – so this is the thing. Dallas Goedert kind of quietly been one of the better tight ends since he's been given his opportunity. Okay, if everybody don't remember, Dallas Goedert started to take some time away from Zach Ertz. Okay, and if you don't remember who Zach Ertz was when he was with Philadelphia, this was an All-Pro tight end. I'm talking about
Oh yeah.
first team. I think he had a year where he had maybe 12, 1,300 yards,
Oh yeah.
double-digit touchdowns. So this is a guy that was one of the premier tight ends, but slowly but surely, as Zach Ertz starts to get a little bit older, he starts to get a little bit nicked up. Dallas Goedert proved himself to be a very, very valuable tight end to this team. And sure enough, after a while, Philadelphia decides to part ways with Zach Ertz and give Dallas Goedert that starting gig. Okay. And he's only 28. Okay. He's only 28, and he's on the brink of his first 1,000 yard season. All right. He's been close. He's been around 700, 800. But a lot of those was in games where he wasn't the full-time starter. And last year he suffered a little bit of an injury too. So he hasn't had a chance to do that. And then last year was his first year where he had good QB play. Okay. The year before that, he didn't have very good QB play, and that was Jalen Hurts' first year as a starter. Then before that, they were still working out things with whether it's going to be Nick Foles or Carson Wentz. So there was a lot of QB issues, during his time as he was trying to step in as a full-time starter. But now, going into this 2023 season, we know what we're getting from Jalen Hurts. He has shown to be one of the better quarterbacks in this league and that he can actually pass. So I expect Dallas Goedert to be one of the benefactors of Jalen Hurts having a full season. And as long as Dallas Goedert can stay healthy, I expect 1,000 yards, double-digit touchdowns from going into this 2023 season, man. So Dallas Goedert is my number 5 guy going into 2023, man.
No complaints here. I've got Dallas on my list as well, but he's coming up here pretty soon, so I'll hold off. But yeah, no complaints there at all. And I'm gonna give him some roses here shortly, man. But before I do, I'll roll it to my number 5, man. I know what y'all gonna say. All right, it's Willie. Here, Willie again. Willie being a homer. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I happen to got Steelers wristbands on today. I don't know how that happened. Willie always wants to steal. Hey, I ain't trying to hear it because we got a young gun out there, man. We got one of them youngsters out there, man. He got something to say, man. His name is Pat Freiermuth, man. Tight end from my Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think this is a guy, man, that is quietly, or maybe not even as quietly now. I think he is starting to I think he's starting to hit. He's starting to hit the radar of more and more people around this league as well. But a young guy, very reliable hands already to this point. I think he's already got nice nuance in his route running, and he's a guy that. And I'm not going to say he's not Travis Kelce running routes at all. You know what I mean? But I think he's one of those guys that, like I said, he reads holes in zones well. He's a guy that's just he makes himself a friend to the quarterback. He's the guy, I'm going to sit in the soft zone. I'm going to give you my numbers. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to watch your eyes as well. Like, he's a guy that just works and stays in tune with his quarterback and finds a way to make big catches and big plays when he's given the opportunity. And so going forward, we've got our young guy, Kenny Pickett, Jekyll and Hyde last year. His first half of the season, absolutely terrible, gets thrown in Twix. Second half of the season, we go 7-1, and he makes vast improvements. And Pat Freiermuth definitely was a guy that turned into a real-life security blanket to him, man. And I'm talking not to this level, but Tony Romo and Jason Witten came in together. They were roommates at camp as rookies, etc. And then we saw how that relationship bloomed and blossomed. And then a Hall of Fame jacket down the road later for Jason Witten, most likely, what a lot of folks would tell you, or he's in that consideration. But coming in and starting early and starting young, and then those two building and going forward. And we've seen this in Pittsburgh already. I saw this happen with Heath Miller and Ben Roethlisberger. Two young guys that get to come together and grow and really mature together. And so I'm seeing that now with Kenny Pickett and Pat Freiermuth. And so I'm expecting great things from him going forward. And like I said, man, this is a guy, man, he's at this point, man, I say he's more of a jack of all trades. He's not the athlete that a lot of these guys are. He doesn't have a lot of the polish, or there's not a lot of things that I can tell you that he does elite. But I can tell you, put the ball in his hands if it's 3rd and 8, I want him to have the ball. If it's 4th and goal, I want him to get the ball. You know what I mean? He's that type of guy or player for us already. He's caught a couple game winners for us already. Like I said, and I think his arrow's pointing up. So I got my dog Freiermuth for 5.
Gotcha. And he was one of the guys. He just missed my list. But he was in that conversation though, Willie Jack. I like Pat Firemuth, man. Pat Firemuth.
Hey, Pat's coming now. I'm telling you, Pat's coming. But that's going to take me into my number 4, and this is where I've got Dallas Goedert. And so that's why I say he was coming up soon on my list. I've got Dallas Goedert here at my number 4, and I agree with a lot of the things that you said. Hold on, you got my linebacker on the screen, but I agree with a lot of the things that you said earlier when you were talking about him. And so I won't rehash it. Now, one thing I will say though is that I was surprised that he hadn't had a 1,000-yard season. I thought he had a 1,000-yard season. One of those, but no, I guess not. You said because he was splitting time. He went from splitting time with Zach Ertz, and then he actually ran Zach Ertz out of that building. And Zach Ertz, the only thing I would say about that, Zach Ertz wasn't old when he had the lead to go to Arizona to make room for Dallas Goedert. He was he was 29 to 30, or maybe 30. It felt like he had been there forever. Because Zach Ertz, I think right now, I think he's 31, 32. And so I think he was only 29, 30, man, where they went ahead. Huh?
I said something like that.
Yeah, and so they went ahead and let him go, man, because they like what they saw in Dallas Goedert. I think Dallas Goedert, he's a little bigger. He's not a great run blocker by any stretch as well, but I think he probably no, I'm not going to even give him that, man. I ain't gonna do too much, but all told, like I said, I think you summed him up pretty good. But yeah, he came in at my number 4 instead of number 5.
Gotcha, Willie Jack. Definitely okay with that right there. But now that jumps into my number 4, which may ruffle a few feathers here, man. May ruffle a few feathers, but hey, this is how I see it, man. This is how I see it. Ooh. I got George Kittle at number 4. Okay. Now I would imagine that this guy's also made Willie Jack's list, but knowing Willie Jack probably got him a little bit higher than me, you know. But I'm gonna tell you what I got here at this particular spot. Okay. So to me, I was stuck in the mindset of, man, it ain't a tight end in the league better than George Kittle. You know what I'm saying? Even with Travis Kelce putting up the numbers that he's putting up, it ain't a tight end in the league better because of the versatility that George Kittle. George Kittle can run routes with the best of them when it comes to the tight ends, but he also can run block better than any tight end in the NFL. Yeah. Those are things that George Kittle does. But my concern with George Kittle, one, there's a little bit of help, but I never been the guy that really charged that to him too much. He still has great impact on that offense, but that offense has a lot of mouths to feed, man. And one thing that I saw, especially with Christian McCaffrey coming over, is touches for some of those other guys start to slow down a little bit, man. And I don't want to get no, I'm not even gonna go there because that could take me into a whole nother tangent. But anyway, touches start to go down a little bit for those other guys, including George Kittle, Deebo Samuel. Brandon Ayuk was one of those guys where it was weird. He has kind of stayed the same, but everybody else, in terms of the way that they were used, Christian McCaffrey became more of that guy. You know what I'm saying? So George Kittle is looking like he's being used a little bit more as a blocker rather than the dangerous receiver that he can be, which is good, all fine and dandy for the 49ers, and it's still a great impact. But when it comes to, you know, just his receiving ability, I think he has a lot more that he can bring to the table than what Shanahan, you know, allows him to do. But don't get me wrong. I don't want to get words twisted or make everybody feel like I disagree with what Shanahan is doing. What Shanahan is doing is working well. It's a reason why I call them the well-oiled machines, because the way he's utilizing everybody is the way he's getting the best out of everybody. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like production and what we see, you know, or what we want to see from George Kittle and what he's fully capable of, we won't necessarily see everything because of all the different mouths that they have to feed. Now, if we saw George Kittle in a different offense, maybe we've seen him over with, I don't know, maybe say a Sean McVay or maybe in another offensive scheme where there's not too many other offensive weapons and they can kind of build their passing offense around him a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Man, I may have him at the number 1 spot, but with the way that they use him, with the mouths to feed, I got George Kittle and I settled with him in my number 4 spot, man. Still a top 5 tight end in the league, but I'm settling with him in number 4.
Bro, I don't know which of these is more surprising, George Kittle or Devontae Adams, both at 4 in your list. It feels blasphemous, man. So I'm gonna hold on. I'm glad he made your list. It sounds like he barely made it. 4 means he was almost 5. 5 means he was almost off the list.
No. My top four, my top four was locked in. My top four was locked. It wasn't changing. They was locked in. They was gonna make the list. I did switch the order up a couple times.
Yeah,
but they was locked in. He wasn't missing the list for sure. He definitely was missing.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, man. I can't get on board with George being that low, man. I'm gonna talk about George here in a little bit, but I think I do understand what you're saying though, because you make a valid point as far as his usage, which was already lower than we would like to see, and then even that lowered even more when the best in the business comes calling, man. What you gonna do, man? When the best in the business in the backfield, you gotta feed them, man. I mean, you got a little, you got to feed him.
I'm sorry, Willie Jack, and I gotta say this. I'm gonna try to make this quick, man, because maybe you can piggyback over it or not.
Yeah,
that's another thing when it comes to the running back position. Is it does depend on the guy. Okay. Christian McCaffrey, and it's not just him. Like it might be a couple other guys, but Christian McCaffrey specifically.
Okay.
Is a guy that can argue and say, look, man, I'm worth more than anybody you got on this offense. Who do you know? Name a player, Willie Jack. You know, it may be one other, whatever. We'll probably argue that, but I don't think you'll think anybody else. But name another player that can come over to that San Francisco offense that is already loaded without missing a game and instantly take over as the number one option for that team. And you mean to tell me running backs can't get paid? Man, y'all better pay. Man, Christian McCaffrey deserves to be paid, man. Pay him. How do you justify that? How can you sit in a meeting room and face to face with me and tell me I ain't worth more than this guy, and this guy when I touch the ball more than this guy, and you run the offense through me, and I just got here. I was here 3 days.
Hey, you make excellent points, man. You make excellent points. You make excellent points, bro. I can't argue with you. I can't argue with you at all, bro. Because you said, like I said, Chris McCaffrey was in Carolina on Wednesday. He flew to San Francisco on Thursday night, got his playbook on the plane, a la Baker Mayfield, suited up Sunday. You know what I mean? Now that first Sunday wasn't as explosive as Baker Mayfield's first Sunday was with the comeback and all. But then that next Sunday, 1 week of practicing, and it was ball game. You know what I'm saying? It was the C-Mac we know and love. And so, no, you make valid arguments, man. So I ain't going to get no argument from me as well, man. Like I said, running back is one of those positions that they do all the heavy lifting. They get none of the respect for it, or they get none of the love or credit for it. So, now you make a good point, bro.
I'm sorry, Willie. I just had to make that point, man. I was trying to hold back, but I was like, no, I got to make this point because people need to hear it. People need to hear that.
And the reason why it even made greater sense for this situation, this was already a team, like you said, with an established philosophy, established guys. George Kittle's an all-pro caliber guy. Debo Samuels is a consistent Pro Bowl caliber guy. Brandon Ayuk is coming into his own. They had Elijah Mitchell, who was moving and grooving over there for a little bit as well. And then when a guy like Christian McCaffrey, a guy like we would hope to see that Saquon could be this caliber guy, when a guy like that comes to your building and a coach smart enough to, like Kyle Shanahan, to see and recognize what you got, then man, hey, no, man, we can move all this shit around. Hey, yeah, we can move all that around because now we got one of them ones. And so no, hey, I agree completely, man. I agree completely.
Man, and when it's time, you can't tell me I ain't worth $20 million. You can't tell me.
Hey, yeah.
You can't tell me I ain't worth $20 million a year, bro. After you see what, man, stop playing with me, dog.
Hey, there you. Hey, no arguments for me. I'm gonna go ahead and move it into my number 3. This is where I've got Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews for me, man. And this thing about Mark Andrews, I considered Mark Andrews even at 2. I really did, but I left him at 3 because, for one, I think Lamar, he's definitely Lamar's go-to guy for sure. So he's been the number 1 receiver in his offense, a la Travis Kelce to Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. So Mark Andrews gets usage and target share like that. I think those two are the only 2 tight ends in the league that get like number 1 receiver usage as far as just being the first option in the passing game, and then the target share, and like I said, and what they get. So Travis Kelce being that first guy, Mark Andrews would be the guy after that, as far as where we're talking there. Now, the only thing about it, if we did this list last year, going into last year, I maybe would feel better about maybe putting them at 2. This year, now I'm curious because now they've actually got weapons over there. Now there's actual mouths to feed. So before, when it was Lamar dropping back, either I'm going to run it or there's nobody else out here but Mark. Well, now I've got Odell out here. Now I've got a young Zay Flowers out here we feel good about. Now I've got a young Isaiah Likely in the same tight end room who showed and flashed a little bit as well that he could also now he needs some targets as well. And so I think that's the reason why I left him at 3 instead of 2. But if he's healthy, and more importantly, if Lamar's healthy, he's going to get his looks. And when like I say, he's a guy. The more you give him, the more you get. You know what I'm saying? So you give him 100, you give him 100 targets, he's going to give you 80 catches. You know what I mean? You give him 120 targets, he's going to give you 100 catches. And so I think he's a guy that has shown that he can be the center of an offense a la Travis Kelce. And I think that speaks volumes for him as a player. But I've got him in my number 3.
Got you, Willie Jack. And I'm going to roll on into it as well because I got him also as my number 3 tight end going into the 2023 season, man. Okay. Mark Andrews is my number 3 tight end. And for a lot of reasons that you mentioned. First and foremost, Mark Andrews is definitely a target monster. And although they do have Isaiah Likely, I still think that they utilize Mark Andrews a lot. I think, if anything, this will help Mark Andrews because now we don't have to give you 130 targets in the season. You know,
he wants some targets. Huh? He wants them targets.
No, absolutely. But what I'm saying is, I think he becomes even more efficient now because now we don't have to we don't have to force feed you the ball. You don't have to be in positions where you have to make catches in triple coverage because we got some other guys on the outside that can get open. You know what I'm saying? And the guys that you mentioned already. So we can spread this ball around a little bit. And of course, having my guy back and having him paid now, we can run this ball a little bit more now. And also having J.K. Dobbins healthy, we can do a lot more things, which will create a lot more separation for you. Will allow us to hide you a little bit more in terms of scheme you up because I got receivers that can do a little bit more. So I like Mark Andrews and the way that he'll look this year because of the weapons that's around him now. You know, you can't load up on Mark Andrews. Y'all can't double him. Y'all can't underneath and over the top him. You know what I'm saying? Because if you do that, I got other guys that can kill you, that can burn you. And if it's one thing I know, Odell Beckham can win in one-on-one coverage. You know what I'm saying? He can win that. If you put him in one-on-one, you send him in one-on-one, he can do that. Rashawn Bateman has showed to be a very, very good number 2. Zay Flowers is just a weapon in general.
We can't wait to unwrap him out the box.
Absolutely. So you can't just put all the attention on a guy like Mark Andrews the way you were able to beforehand because he was the only offensive weapon in the passing game. You know what I'm saying? So defense is going to have to change things up. So I like the way the season is going to look for Mark Andrews. So that's why I got him also in my number 3 spot, Willie Jack.
And here's the point as well that I just remember as well. Interestingly enough, so Baltimore just brought over the offensive coordinator from the Georgia Bulldogs to be their new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken. So we're anticipating he's bringing that Georgia offense or definitely elements of it. Now, Chop, I know you don't watch as much college football, but that Georgia offense,
2 tight end sets.
Tight end you. Brock Bowers was their George Kittle, or he was their Mark Andrews. He was their Travis Kelce. They ran that Georgia offense more. I mean, if they're not running the ball, pounding the ball, they're throwing the ball to Brock Bowers, the tight end. And so that also bodes well for Mark Andrews because the OC who's coming in is also a very heavy tight end usage guy. And so that also, like I said, I think just like you were saying, that bodes well for his efficiency now. Because now instead of kind of just chuck and duck ball because Lamar ain't got nobody else to go, now we've got a guy who's competent at scheming and finding ways to manipulate and get the tight end open and involved. And so now he's more efficient, even if less targets maybe, but more efficient in those targets. That was a good point, boy. You did your thing there. I caught that. You didn't even know you dropped the bar right there. I was like, oh, you know what? He did something right there. I like that.
We'll see if you can catch this one. My number 2 tight end going into the 2023 season, man. Minnesota Vikings TJ Hockenson, man. Number 2.
Whoa!
Number 2 tight. Yeah, I said it now. We getting spicy. It's time to get spicy, Willie Jack. I got my cayenne pepper out. I got a little Cajun. You know what I'm saying? Throwing some hot sauce on top of it. And I'm going to top it off with some red crushed peppers, man. We putting the spice on it today, babe. TJ Hockenson is my number 2 tight end going into the season. And let me tell you why, though, Willie Jack. Let me tell you why. First and foremost, I think TJ Hockenson has the potential to be very, very similar to, who will also mention it in my number 4 spot, George Kittle. Unlike a lot of tight ends, TJ Hockenson came into this league as one of the best blocking tight ends, you know, say in the NFL. came in with the Detroit Lions out of Iowa, was second fiddle to Noah Fant until Noah Fant went down, and TJ Hockenson came in and showed to be that guy. And at the next level, has showed spurts, has showed flashes, has showed, a few signs of being potentially a game-changing tight end. But it wasn't until they made that trade and traded him from the Detroit Lions over to the Minnesota Vikings where we seen what he can actually do. The first 7 games of the season with the Detroit Lions, he averaged 3 receptions a game. Just 3, Willie Jack.
Yeah,
when he went over to Minnesota Vikings, those last 10 games, he doubled that. Almost pretty much over 6 receptions a game. And it was with an offense that knew how to use him. Also, just like we were talking about with Christian McCaffrey and like the switch with Roquan Smith, he didn't have time to really get acclimated to the offense.
Oh, it was mid-season trade.
It was a mid-season trade, so they threw him right in the game, and instantly he became one of their more important weapons alongside the number 1 guy, of course, in Justin Jefferson, which makes for a great 1-2 combo. You know what I'm saying? Justin Jefferson being that main guy and TJ Hockenson being the guy that can feed right off of him and get open underneath and intermediate and do a lot of different things and create mismatches. I think he has that potential to do that game in and game out. And I think he emerges this year after a full offseason, getting that full playbook from a guy, a former offensive coordinator that used to be, with the Rams, the Super Bowl winning Rams. He comes in. He has that full offseason. He gets to acclimate TJ Hockenson and scheme him up. We're going to see a breakout season from TJ Hockenson, man. We're going to see what he's fully capable of. I expect double-digit touchdowns. I expect over 1,000 yards. I expect this still to be an explosive offense. And if we know one thing, man, Kirk Cousins is going to air it out. He's definitely going to do that. You know what I'm saying? And if Justin Jefferson ain't there, expect it to be, TJ Hockenson's show. And that's another thing, too. If anybody's going to draw attention, Justin Jefferson is definitely going to draw a lot of attention to
that's right.
They're going to be on him, eyes on him. You know what that means? I'm already good anyway, but you're going to leave me like this? Come on. Let me catch this 5-yard crossing route. I'm going to turn it into 24. You know what I'm saying? Let me catch this corner route. Let me go up in the corner of the end zone, man, and make this tough catch over the safety that can't check me. That's what we're going to see from TJ Hockenson, man, all year long.
Okay.
That's why I got TJ, man, my number 2 spot, man. That's a prediction, baby.
Okay. Hey, I like it. I'm not going to lie. TJ Hockenson was the guy who just missed my list, honestly. But I like that he made your list because, like I said, he's the guy that was right down the line for me. I still don't know, man. 2 is, man, you definitely expecting a lot. To be at 2, man, the 2 guys that you're 3 and 4, I think I still take above them. But that's just me. But I'm not gonna lie, man. I like that you didn't went off script, man. I like it. And honestly, listening to you explain it, it makes a lot of sense now. It makes a lot of sense. I like what you're saying there. Like I said, you got Justin Jefferson on the outside drawing all the coverage they can afford to give to him. You got a young Jordan Addison who just got drafted, so we'll see how he develops. And so Adam Thielen's gone. TJ Hockenson is your de facto number 2. Dalvin Cook's also gone. So he's your de facto number 2 now as well. And so now you make a lot of good points, man. You make a lot of good points. I like what you did there. I'm going to go ahead and roll into my number 2. Now, yeah, man, look at this, man. We just switched spots. Now, I'm the guy that has the chalk list. You the guy with all the spicy names. Because my number 2 guy, I got George Kittle. But like I said, man, and it's crazy because it feels like an oldie but goodie, but George Kittle's still in the prime of his career. You know what I mean? But it just seems like he's been here for a while. But I think when you're looking at, first off, blocking, it starts and ends. Blocking at the tight end position in this league starts and ends with George Kittle. You got George Kittle. There's a hard, thick black line, and then there's a list of other guys there. TJ Hockenson is the guy that's going to be. He's going to come up pretty quick on that list because my dog Chop just told y'all, man, he is a very accomplished blocker himself. Also, came from the same school. They both are graduates of Iowa. So it's something about that Big Ten Iowa football, man. They got them tight ends, them hands in the dirt, getting in there and getting real nasty now, and they bringing it to the league. And so Kittle set that trend, and then you got a guy like TJ Hockenson that came in right after him, man, and now he's in the league. So there's a crossover there. But no, when you're looking at a tight end, the best of both worlds, a guy that can actually stomp. Von Miller, in his time with the Rams, is going to be on George Kittle's Hall of Fame highlight reel. because he buried that man on national TV.
Hey,
on national television.
I like the play, but I hate that it happened when he had on the Rams jersey. I wish he had on like a Broncos jersey or like a Bills jersey.
Mine's lunch. Hey man, I mean, he just got you, man. I mean, he just got you, dog. It happens, man.
Hey,
like,
I traded Pancake for a Super Bowl. That's cool,
man. That's you got to. But man, I'm saying punish them, man. But no, so it gets no better there. And now here's the thing that I think he does above anybody, better than any other guy at the position in this league. And I'm talking better than Travis Kelce as well. He with the ball in his hand.
Oh yeah,
is the most physical, most dangerous runner in the league right now. Like say at that position, like Travis Kelce's dangerous, but he's dangerous in a different way. He's dangerous because he's gonna wiggle. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna shimmy. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna, you know what I'm saying? He's gonna do a little bit of this. George Kittle, he could do a little of this. He'd rather do a little of this though. You know what I'm saying? He'd do a little of that though. He'd do a little of this though. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a different style of, he's just a different animal with the ball in his hand. He's a guy at the tight end position that could take a 12-yard play, and that's a 30-yard play. He could take a 20-yard play, it's a 60-yard play. He could take it to the house as well, so he's dangerous with the ball in his hand. And I'm talking after the catch. You know what I mean? And so, phenomenal player. And he's a guy that, kind of like you were saying before, he's a little, and I hate, it sounds negative, he is a little limited by the production that he probably could give us because of the scheme that he's in, where they ask him to be such a big part of that run game. And then, like I said, his target share is so limited. But the good thing about him, man, excellent guy. He appears to be an excellent teammate. He's the type of guy that any locker room in the world would take him. Complete ultimate team player, because of most guys with his talent, his ability, his age, he's still young. And he has to watch a guy like Travis Kelce get 100 targets a year, 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns. And you know he sees it. He's like, man, I can do it.
I can definitely do that. Because he's done it before.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And so with the egos that tend to come along with being elite athletes at the top of the league. And so, we see egos coming to play, man. Guys, Stephon Diggs had to leave Minnesota because he couldn't assume a George Kittle role. He's like, man, I'm a 1,400 yard dude, man. I need to go somewhere somebody can give me 1,400 yards. And he did that. And I don't fault him for it. George Kittle could have been a guy that made a stink like that because he wants to put up Travis Kelce numbers because he's absolutely capable of doing it. And instead, man, I'll sit here and I'll block 40 plays on offense, and then I'll get 20 snaps to go run some routes. And maybe I'll get 6 targets in there. You know what I'm saying? So ultimate team guy, phenomenal, like I said, phenomenal blocker, lethal with the ball in his hands in the open field. And so for that reason, man, I got him in my number 2.
Gotcha. And I ain't mad at you, man. I ain't mad at you for that pick. So, hey, I already touched on him. So, I guess we can both talk about our number 1, Willie Jack, and I go and put it up there. Of course, none other than the Kansas City Chiefs, man, Travis Kelce, man. You can't go wrong with that one, Willie Jack.
King Kelce, man. King Kelce. Man. Yeah, King Kelce, man, it's his. He's the guy now, man. It's his league. It's his position at this time, man. So earlier I was talking about guys that take over the torch. We talked about if we're talking tight ends, man, we all know and love, man. This was Rob Gronkowski's position for the better part of a decade, and then towards the end, man, as that starts phasing out, man, we see a guy like Travis Kelce start coming up, and then he picked up that torch and he's ran with it, man. And so when it's all said and done, man, he's a guy that I assume we both assume he's going to rewrite a lot of these records, or records that he's probably he's rewritten a lot of them already, and he's not done. I think he's probably still got another 3 years in him, man. He's probably still got another 3. I think he's going to be one of those guys that he'll definitely slow down, and so he'll lose a lot of that. He'll lose a lot of that shimmy, but he'll be a guy. He'll still find a soft spot. He'll still give Patty his chest, and he's still good and gonna be good and dangerous at 12 to 16 yards all day long. And so I still think he's got tons of time. And man, with that combination, the way that team looks as well, man, he may get another ring as well before he hangs up, man. But now, phenomenal player. I feel like I left a lot there for you to give him some roses as well, man. But now here's the thing I do want to say. And I'm talking not just tight ends. I think we can have this conversation for Travis Kelce and Travis Kelce alone, across receivers and tight ends. This is a top 10 route runner in the league. Travis Kelce as a tight end, and for me, is a top 10 route runner. Phenomenal route runner. He has excellent hands. He will have a concentration drop every now and again, but he still does have very good hands. He's a clutch player. He's a guy that the lights excite him. He doesn't run for the lights. He runs towards those lights. You know what I mean? So he's a guy, he wants to show up in prime time. He wants to show up in those clutch moments. You know, he wants to be the guy to make, you know what I'm saying, to make the play. You know what I'm saying? Give me the ball type of guy. And so love that, man. And of course, we all know, man, he got a little swag as well, man. So definitely love his play and expect him to be the guy still. Like I said, man, I think he's got another couple years at the top, man. The way he's going, I don't see those guys slowing down.
Absolutely, and I'm with you there, Willie Jack. The thing with Travis Kelce, man, is he's so crafty with his route running, man. Exactly. He's so crafty. The way he sets people up to create his separation, man, is just he'll fool you sometimes. It's almost like he's gliding, man. It's almost like he's gliding into his routes. You know, whether it's a guy that's his size, he's not overly fast. He's not burning everybody. He's not, just overly physical. He's just very crafty. You know, some guys just have they know how to get open. They know how to run routes. He's a student of the game, and I think he doesn't get enough credit for that. But he's a student of the game, and he just knows how to do it, man. That's why he's able to continue to be so successful, even this late in his career. And then let's throw the icing on the cake, man. One thing he has that nobody else has on this tight end list is a Pat Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? He's got Pat Mahomes. As long as he has Pat Mahomes, man, he's going to get fed, and he's going to get hit in the bread basket, and he's going to be able to make plays because Pat Mahomes is able to do that. And actually, a lot of times you see that. You see Pat Mahomes scrambling, getting outside of the pocket, and Travis Kelce knowing exactly where Pat Mahomes wants his guys to be. I know, are we in the scramble drill now? I know how to, get away from my defender and find me an open spot, because that's one thing that we hate as defenders, me being a former cornerback, is covering for a long time. Nobody can be covered for
6 seconds. That's too much
on the play, man. That's too much. You know what I'm saying? Guys are going to find their way to be open. And that's what Travis Kelce is able to do, along with just his normal skills and normal ability to just get open. Another thing, not only does he have Pat Mahomes, he has Andy Reid.
That's what I was going to say as well. Hell yeah.
Without any receivers on this team, I'm going to say disrespectful, but he schemed up guys to be butt naked in the Super Bowl to score touchdowns in key situations. That's what Andy Reid does, and that's what he's going to continue to do. And as long as he's there, as long as Pat Mahomes is there, and as long as he still has that wiggle, even if he slows down speed-wise, Travis Kelce is going to be a 11 to 1,300 yard tight end and double-digit touchdown guy, man. And quite frankly, on his way to being the best tight end in NFL history. You know what I'm saying? So
now, and I'm glad you said that. I don't know, because when we say things like that, I think we do have to apply some of the context, because like we'll call it dominance. Man, Gronk was his own animal. You know what I mean? Like Gronk was true. Like Kelce and Kittle are going to be all decade tight ends. Gronk was Kelce and Kittle. You know what I mean? Like the two best guys of this generation were one guy in his time. You know what I mean? Now Gronk was injured and man, he'll be one of those guys what could have been, but even with all the what could have been and all the time missed, I don't know if we've seen a guy be as dominant as what we saw from Gronk in those Patriot days, man. And so I want to throw that context out there when we start talking that. But now here's the thing as well, man. If you had to go like Mount Rushmore tight ends, man, I assume you got. Well, yeah. If you just said that, yeah, Kelce's already on your list. I was going to ask you about that, but yeah, if you just said that, then I would assume he's already got to be on your Rushmore. If you had to give me,
I'm gonna say it like this. I gotta go Tony Gonzalez. I'm gonna go Travis. I'll go Travis Kelce. He's making his way up there. It's hard not to put Gronk up there, man. It's like I agree with a lot of things that you said. I've seen Gronk do so many crazy things. I'm talking about catches. He had probably some of the best, probably the best hands I've ever seen on a tight end to ever play the game. And then his ability to run out the catch. Yeah, man, give me Gronk, man.
Gronk shouldn't have been. Gronk can't be questioned, man. Gronk was Kittle and Kelce. As dominant as Kittle is as a blocker, Kittle ain't Gronk blocking. You know what I'm saying? And that's saying something, because Kittle is phenomenal. He ain't Gronk. He ain't 6'7", 270. You know what I'm saying? Like Kittle's doing that at 6'4", 250, rocked up 6'4", 250. He ain't 6'7", 270. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Gronk was something different, boy.
Yeah, in movement, yeah. Gronk got big. Who's your last spot though? Who's your last spot?
Now that would be the one that's debatable, man. I'm thinking about. I start thinking about Unc. I like Unc.
Yeah.
Then you think about some of the pioneers of the game and
Your
Mike
John Mackey, Kellen Winslow's,
Winslow's and Dickers and all those type of guys, man. You start thinking about those guys. So that last spot is tough, but hey, man, I go. I'm gonna get. I like Unc, man. I'm give some love to Unc,
shot. Now, here's another thing as well that I've said before when talking about Travis Kelce and his greatness, and I don't want to take away from it. And he does it he does it in his own way. But Shannon Sharp can give me those numbers in 2023.
In 2023, oh yeah,
Shannon Sharp can give me. I truly believe that if Shannon Sharp started his career in 2015, he'd beat Kelce right now. He'd beat Travis Kelce. He's a 1,300 yard. Man, he be that. That's the guy.
A more gangster version though.
For sure. Just
playing on games now. A more swaggy version. Like that's crazy. I wonder. Yeah, man, he'll be gangster.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like Unc ain't playing no game, and so I see a guy like Shannon Sharp, and that's the thing that makes me kind of thinking about Shannon Sharp and what he could have been with the advantages that Kelce has, not only in his offense, in his scheme, in his rules, in his era.
And the guy who's throwing him the ball, yeah.
And the guy who's throwing the ball. Now, hold on now. Unc had Elway. He had an all-time guy, but the way they're used, and no, I ain't gonna Elway ain't Patty Mahomes, but he had
he also played in Baltimore. He also got busy in Baltimore.
But he got busy in Baltimore. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so, no, that's a fact. And so, but yeah, man, that's the only thing. That's the thing that makes me temper where I want to put Kelce as far as my all-time, because I think Shannon Sharp could have been Travis Kelce. Or if he'd came into the league 2 years before Travis Kelce, we may not look at Travis Kelce the same, because Uncle Shay Sharp might have been doing this stuff first. And so it didn't be Kelce chasing Shay instead of maybe the other way around. But no, man, like I said, man, I like those four. I ain't going to argue with you, man. So let's go ahead and recap them lists, man.
Okay, cool. Recapping the list, man. At number five, I brought in Dallas Goedert as my number 5 tight end. At number 4, I had George Kittle. Number 3, Mark Andrews. 2, TJ Hockenson. And number 1, as we just got done talking about, Travis Kelce was my number 1 tight end going into 2023. Willie Jack, who you have?
I got number 1, King Kelce. Number 2, George Kittle. Number 3, Mark Andrews. Number 4, Dallas Goedert. And number 5, I got my young gun, Pat Freiermuth.
Gotcha. Any honorable mentions, Willie Jack? Any guys you want to mention real quick that didn't quite make your list?
Yeah, T.J. Hockenson was the next guy up for me, honestly. And then honestly, when I heard you talk about him, realizing that he's going to be the number 2 now on that team to Justin Jefferson. In hindsight, maybe I give him that nod over Pat Freiermuth, because I think Pat's going to have to contend with more mouths to feed with George Pickens, who's going to take who's making a name already in his rookie year. We brought over Allen Robinson. We'll want him to be a big part. We still got Deontay. So for those reasons, man, I think in hindsight, maybe I switched them, but he was my next guy. I'm curious to see what version of Darren Waller we get. A guy that's been injured now it feels like for forever. Now he's over Brian Daboll. He's with the Giants. I'm curious to see how that works out. David Njoku's another guy. If this list went to 10, this is basically who I'd have had: Waller, Hockenson, and Njoku, who's had put together a nice last 2.5 seasons and really kind of solidified some of the money they gave him and justified his early draft positioning. It felt like he was a late bloomer, so to say. And then those guys for me.
Gotcha. And I'm glad Brother Red chipped in too, man. I was going to mention this guy, Evan Ingram, man. Evan Ingram, he was a guy that was on my watch list, because I was wondering if, and we just talked about this not too long ago, because he just got paid, got their contract. But I was wondering if Doug Peterson has unlocked Evan Ingram, man. And if Doug Peterson has unlocked Evan Ingram, then we may see a guy who can emerge as a consistent top 10 tight end, maybe even inch closer to that top 5 situation. So Evan Ingram is a guy that I'm kind of watching as we move forward. Pat Freiermuth is a guy who's part of my honorable mention as well. You know what I'm saying? So you mentioned a couple other guys, but those were some of the main guys that, I want to throw out there and give some recognition to as we go into this 2023 season.
No, for sure. And honestly, man, like you just said, it doesn't surprise me to see that he had success because the guys we were talking about earlier, Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz, well, they were Doug Peterson guys, and we saw the production that they had, especially Zach Ertz with that run, that Super Bowl run under Peterson. And then Dallas Goedert, his first couple years, with Peterson as well. And so Peterson is definitely a guy on that Andy Reid coaching tree. We see what Andy Reid does with Travis Kelce. And I'm gonna tell y'all one thing to let y'all know that I don't play no games around here. Y'all boys don't even remember what Andy Reid did with Brent Selleck in Philly with McNabb. Y'all don't know Brent Selleck. Y'all better stop playing with me, boy. And so that whole coaching tree, man, tight ends has been a valuable part of their offenses from the gate. You know what I'm saying? And so Brent Selleck to Travis Kelce, and then you get Doug Peterson, who comes on that Andy Reid tree, man, and then you go from Ertz to Goddard to now Evan Ingram, who was trending bust, and now he's a $50 million man. And so it all makes sense.
Gotcha. Well, Willie Jack, man, we came, we saw, we conquered, man. We came, we hit the news today. We talked a little bit of Justin Herbert, talked some Saquon Barkley. It was a lot of deals. We talked those deals, talked holdouts. We came in, we talked about some our top linebackers, off-ball linebackers going into 2023, and then we capped it off, man, by finishing up with our tight ends, man. So, Willie Jack, we came, we did it all. We did. Man. That's it. That's all.
That's all.
Rappers on up, big dog.
Hey, man, we came, we saw, we conquered, man. You know, we came in here and did what we had to do. Man, hey, them members was definitely in the building today, man. Let me run that down for y'all, man. Matter of fact, first one in the door today was, man, our dog, man. My dog, Brother Red, No Votes the podcast was in the building. Man, hey, man. You know what, Brother Red, man? I know we kind of playing around with it right now, but hey, man, we got a lot. We're gonna after this Spence and Crawford fight this weekend, big dog. We're gonna lock in, man. It's time to get back in the lab, man, and talk a little boxing. So I can't wait to do that, man. But y'all tap in with my dog, Brother Red, and No Votes of the podcast, man. Hey, I'm gonna let y'all know. My dog, Brother Red, man, he's here for all the smoke, man. My dog, Brother Red, man, you want to talk hip hop? You want to talk? He's big in the music and hip hop, man. It's an eclectic assortment of topics, man. He's deep into hip hop, man. He's deep into sports. He's deep into he loves boxing, big boxing fan as well. He covers football, man. He'll branch out and touch a little NBA as well. But man, y'all tap in with my dog, man, over at No Voice the Podcast. Man, our dog BP was in the building, man. That's No Balls, No Glory, man. Check them boys out on YouTube doing their thing, man. They also cover a wide assortment of different sports, man. So they'll touch football, they'll touch baseball, they'll touch basketball, man. BP is very knowledgeable in baseball, man. He's got a baseball background, man. So, and also he gets into fantasy as well, man. So be sure to tap in with those guys, man. That's No Balls, No Glory. That's Tuesdays and Thursdays on YouTube. You can check those guys out, man. The home team was in the building, man. Y'all know what's going on. Mom Deuce and baby sisters in the building. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. We had Burton-Law was in the building today, man. Mr. Tate, what's going on with you, man? Wifey was in the building today as well. Man, appreciate you, man. We running out. Oh, man, we 10 minutes over. Look here, y'all. Y'all know what's going on. All right. I say the same thing every week. So y'all can say it with me at home. If I forgot to say your name, damn. Charge it to my head. Don't charge it to my heart. You know we thinking about you, big dog. Y'all know we appreciate and love all the support y'all give us, man. The chat was popping today, man. We really love and appreciate that, man. We keep telling y'all every week, man. Y'all talk to us. We talk back now. We talk back, man. Just talk to us. We talk back, man. Y'all check us out on our Facebook group as well, man. So we've got a group on Facebook, open forum debates, man. We had a lot of good debates. The topics going all day today, man. So get in there and get active, man. Because now I warn you, it's live bullets in there. It's live rounds in there now. So if y'all don't know something, man, if y'all ain't ready, you might get your feelings hurt now. You know what I'm saying? My dog Chop was in there. You know what I'm saying? Do what he had to do today, man. So y'all make sure y'all check us out on that Facebook as well, man. We promise, man. We're working on it. Chop us on me, man. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna be more active on our other social medias as well, man. That's Instagram, that's TikTok. We're working on being more present there. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, and follow across all the platforms, man. That's Let the Film Speak. And other than that, man, I think we did what we had to do today, man. Y'all know what's going on Wednesdays. Y'all know we don't watch us. Y'all know we ain't nothing else to do but get in here and kick this football flavor with the film like we love to do, man. Wednesday, 7 o'clock. You ain't got nothing else going on. Get in here, get real comfortable. Pull up at the penthouse. Call your dog. Tell him he can pull up, man. And come kicking in here with your dogs. I almost said a No Votes of Podcast, but that's the fam, though, so it's all good. But kick it with your dogs here and let the film speak, and we will be right back Wednesday at 7 o'clock, man. Till then, peace.
Peace.